Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
'Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. There's still time. The AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam territory of the University of beautiful British Columbia. I'm Michael McCall.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhower.
And we're back with another packed podcast. The football is in full flow. 2 games for the Whitecaps in the past few days. 2 podcasts last week, another one today. This is only going to be a one podcast week, or at least a one main podcast week. I might bring out an extra one after Wednesday, depending on how things go. If we get any audio after it that's not already out there, or if we have any interviews kind of set up that we do ahead of the TFC game. So if you're an extra subscriber, watch for that. I'll keep you posted. And if you're not, why don't you become one? $3 a month, $30 a year, $5 silver tier membership, or $10 a month gold tier membership. And you will get a shout out in the first show of every month. All the details you can find on the website in the latest extra podcast. But yeah, we've had a fun weekend. A win for the Whitecaps, only good enough to see them 8th in the Western Conference after the first round of matches.
Easy there, Tiger. let's not be talking about that part.
You have to look at the league table right away.
That's ridiculous, man. You got the 3 points. That must be that was the objective.
Basically, that is all that matters.
Yeah.
And it's like we'll talk about this as we get through the show, but I've got my target that I want from these first 10 games. And yeah, we will talk Whitecaps RSL in this part. We will also bring you some post-game audio from the RSL side to kick off part 2. Have a look around the rest of the games in the MLS West. A new section that we're going to do in our MLS roundup in that part as well. And we'll keep you waiting for that one. Part 3, we are going to kind of do some of our MLS predictions for the season. You heard a little bit from Keith Costigan and Fabian Renkel in the last show. So we'll do some of ours. And then the last part, some more Whitecaps chat about some of the other Whitecaps news of the week, kind of off the pitch that we haven't covered yet. We'll also bring you some fun music, as we always do. Our Canadian soccer A to Z. We'll kick off with it in a sec as well. And yeah, just lots of fun football chat over the next few hours. I've been just watching wall-to-wall football, really. This weekend was watching the sports scene highlights before I headed out to the game yesterday. And then today for the Scottish Premier. Very exciting at the top of the Scottish Premier. Hearts now have a 6-point lead with 10 games remaining. It's
crazy. Yeah, I mean, you and I were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and you were filling me in on a few of the things that I didn't know about the race and whatever, and it was much closer then than it is now.
Oh, yeah, well, the crazy thing is, going into this weekend, Hearts were the 3rd favourites with the bookies.
That's crazy.
But then Celtic lost today. Hearts won on Saturday, and Rangers dropped 2 points today. And now coming out of this weekend, Hearts are now the favourites with the bookies for the title. So we'll see how that goes. I want to talk a little bit, though, about some Canadian national team players. Alistair Johnston still not featuring with Celtic. Derek Cornelius is training. He was training this week with Rangers, but still is very in the early stages of his recovery. So I'm not sure when he's going to get back into the mix, which could be good for the likes of Ralph Priso. And then we've got to talk Alphonso Davies, Zach, out for 3 to 6 weeks. Hamstring tear, strain. He didn't look in a good place when it happened during the game.
It's a muscle fiber tear in his hamstring. Yeah. He was not. Yeah, you could see right away that it was not something not going to be great based on his reaction.
And the Bayern sporting director after the game said it looked a bad one, but 3 to 6 weeks, maybe not too bad.
I mean, yeah, no time for him at this point away is ideal based on him, trying to recover and get back up to full speed and full match sharpness after his months and months and months away due to the ACL. And so, yeah, this is a setback, but at least it's not something more major.
Yeah.
And hopefully, again, as they bring him back for Canada's sake and for Bayern's end of the season ambitions, hopefully he's kind of there just at the right time. For Bayern, from a Bayern perspective, at least at this moment, Hiroki Ito is in the side and able to be the stand-in at left back because he's probably the second best left back in the squad, even though they have an old man, no longer really a left back, Rafael Guerreiro from Portugal. And then they've been playing Tom Bischoff there a little bit, which is not great for him, but at least it gets him on the field.
You have to feel Fonzie's missing these next 2 Canadian games as well.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 weeks could have him back, but you don't want him then to go and play international. So he's going to be missing more time. We were talking about this in the Whitecaps media room yesterday. We were waiting for Jesper. It kind of feels sometimes that Fonzie feels that he's maybe got the weight of the nation on his shoulders. And going down, feeling that injury is like, oh no, because I think he carries the burden of being Canada's star player so much. He was the face of this bid for Canada to get the World Cup. And I think he knows the importance of it. He knows the importance to him, to his career, to the country. And every little setback like this, you feel just knocks him back a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's true. But the most important thing in all of this, as we've always talked about, is what does it mean for Canada on the pitch? And Jesse Marsh has said, and I think honestly believes that we're better with Fonzie. The crazy thing is when you look at qualifying for the 2022 World Cup, some of Canada's best performances, maybe not results, but performances came in his absence where it wasn't just like, oh, you take him out and we're better. No, it was like you took him out of the side and it was like everyone, not just like 1 or 2 players stood up. It was like everyone collectively stood up and said,
it's like the Whitecaps last year with Goldie.
Yeah, yes, for real. But even to a kind of a different level.
Higher level.
Yeah. And this is a different Canada side because we're far deeper than we were then. We have far more options than we did then. I think, not to be critical, but I think we're better coached than we were then. Mm-hmm. And I think that we can not, I guess, overcome a significant loss like this. The bigger, perhaps the bigger problem for Canada is that it's not like, maybe no Alphonso Davies. It's what's happening with Moise Bombito, like you said, what's happening with Alistair Johnston, what's happening with a number of other players and where they're at in terms of their physical abilities to be able to play in this summer's tournament.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see how that goes. I mean, hopefully Cornelius will be good to return soon, but Rangers have been doing well defensively, so it's hard then to come and suddenly get back into the team. But yeah, the Scottish title race is looking good. I watched the New Zealand derby in the A-League on, I think, Friday night. It's all a blur now. 5-0 Auckland won, and I shared with you the first goal, which if no one has seen it, check out our Twitter That was a goal for the ages. 85 yards out.
I feel like I've seen a goal like that not that long ago, where it was with the bounce and all that.
But have you seen the keeper then head it into his own net?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
We've seen long kicks forward that bounce over the keeper, him helping it along a little.
Yeah, that's true.
But the Wellington Phoenix manager resigned in his post-game press conference. So I'm assuming he had told the owners that he had resigned by that point and just didn't say, yeah, that's me. But he'd been their coach from the start. He'd been there through COVID. He'd done so well with them, but it's just felt he'd taken them as far as he could go. But the A-League's shaping up great as well. If you're not watching that, it's free to watch on YouTube. And if you're a night owl like me, it's great because you can get all the games live at some good times. But they're also up in full and they're also highlights as well. Now, obviously, in the last show, after the midweek Champions League games in Europe, we spoke about the whole Vinicius Junior and Luca Prestiani racism spat. And then Prestiani's come out with an interesting defence saying, I didn't racially abuse him, I just used a homophobic slur. It's an interesting defence. I'm not a racist, I'm just a homophobe.
So awkward.
It's
so
bizarre. Because from what I've been reading, the punishment is still the same. It can be up to 10 games. So,
and it feels like now that they'll have to throw the book at him, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, if he's admitted that now,
yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see where that goes. But we spoke on the last show about it, so we won't go into it again about racism in football. It's crazy it still exists. But of course, online, it's very prevalent. I think I spoke on a show last year, the year before, when I was doing League One commentary. One of the league guys was getting racially abused in the YouTube chat, which now meant that there is no YouTube chat. And it's Victory Shambusho, former Whitecaps Academy guy, a guy we know well from UBC.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a similar trend about how this abuse is coming. And this weekend in England, 4 black players in the Premier League were racially abused online after missing or having an impact in key moments in games. And what it seems to stem to is people that are betting on the games and losing money. And it was very interesting. I wouldn't normally click into this, but I was intrigued. In the 83rd minute of the Whitecaps game on Wednesday, they made a couple of substitutions. And there was so many comments on that one post on Twitter that the Whitecaps had for the substitution. So I was like, well, that's weird. So I clicked into it, and it was all this abuse about the team, about Jesper, about the players. So I clicked into the accounts, and they're all like betting accounts. So this is folk that's had money on that game, and the Whitecaps, of course, are not winning, and then they're losing money and they start abusing. And this is becoming, and it's been like this for a while, but it seems to have got even worse in the last year or so. Players are having to shut down their Instagram. Sunderland's winger, Romain Mundo, today shut down his Instagram after the abuse he got because they're getting abused and it's affecting their mental health. And it's coming from people that have bet on games and they feel that they've cost them money.
2 ills of society in one conversation. Like, that's horrible, man.
Because I mean, we were meant to have Declan Hill on the show at Christmas, and then we were never able to get the interview set up, but we hope to have him on. And he's obviously written the book The Fix and spoken out about betting in football, and it's something I'd like removed from like jerseys and everything else. And I watch a lot of the UK coverage, and it's every second advert, it feels it's all betting stuff.
Yeah, although they're all taking big money from it, right?
Oh yeah, and there's like former players all doing it, and you've got Danny Dyer now doing campaigns for it, and like big names that are doing it, and Harry Redknapp's done it, and Peter Crouch, but yeah, it's sad, and with betting becoming more prevalent over here, it's just a matter of time before our players start getting this abuse as well. Let's hope we don't have any more of these stories coming out. But for 4 top flight players to suffer racial abuse in the same weekend in England's absolutely crazy. Social media just makes it so easy for people.
Well, yeah, the whole keyboard warrior thing, right?
Yeah.
You feel like you're safe and you can say whatever horrific thing you want. It's good to see that there's it seems like there's been some crackdown of that or
yeah,
accountability around that.
There's been crackdowns in the UK on it, and folk have gone to prison for stuff that they've said, and they're very quick in the justice system over there for finding the people, prosecuting them, and putting them in prison as well.
That's good.
So it's something here that is way behind with our criminal service. But that's for another show. That's for the AFTN crime podcasts. Let's get more football. It's time for this week's Canadian Soccer A to Z. AFTN paying tribute to the world of Canadian soccer in this special World Cup year. We're up to the letter I. I don't know what Zach's gone for.
Oh, am I going first?
Yes, Zach gets to go first. I think I know who he's going to go with.
Yeah.
Which is what I've got. But if he doesn't go with this, then I've got a good one. Anyway, what's your I?
Oh, because I just remember we had some conversation about this early on. And
yes.
So I'm going with one that's kind of easy and has some connectivity to at least one other thing we've said. So I just went with Azteca. I know. I think I said Commonwealth or C.
Yeah.
But I think
I read Edmonton clubs with E. So Edmonton's getting a lot of love in this.
That's true.
But no, I mean, the Azteca was although it's Commonwealth Stadium, it's a special moment.
Yeah. I know most people equate it with just a Mexico match. I personally, partly because I was there for both, it's the Costa Rica and Mexico matches.
I think it's both.
Okay.
Yeah. And for anyone that needs a reminder, it's 2021. November, World Cup qualifying, 2 huge victories. I mean, the Azteca definitely deserves to be in on its own as an iconic eye.
Yeah, it was incredible. Like just being there was. I think I told you this before, but it was one of those days where I brought so many layers. But once you got into that bowl and with the people, I remember I could take off my giant winter jacket and feel warm. So I put that on my seat, and then.
What was the temperature?
I cannot remember.
I remember
it was cold. It was cold. Walking to and from the stadium, I definitely needed that winter jacket.
Oh.
But in there was this. I don't know. I don't know because we were sheltered from some of the wind, or I don't know, or the people breathing on each other or whatever it was. It was 2021, so it was a scary time to breathe around people.
Of course.
But it was not nearly. It was during the game. I was not cold like I was walking to and from the stadium, and so it was pretty special. And then for me, again, it's not really totally part of it, but it landed right between. You sent me a message or gave me a call because it was the other reason why it was special for me. It was a whole special trip with my son. So for Kirk and I, for Cheryl and I, as parents of Kirk and Elizabeth, we set out as a part of our parenting kind of strategy plan is, when our kids were turning like 13 or so, we wanted to take them on some type of adventure, some type of trip, some type of excursion. And so for Kirk, this was his. And so it was him and I getting away, going to these 2 football matches. You sent me a text or you gave me a call and you're like, hey, do you want to go to Commonwealth to cover Alphonso Davies being named it was the Canadian Athlete of the Year or something.
Oh, yes.
What's that? It's a special award. It's named after someone.
Uh-huh.
I'm forgetting it right now. But you're like, hey, do you want to go cover that? And I was like, heck yeah. So that was really cool, really, really special. And so for me, it's like, those games, they're getting those results. It's a part of qualifying for the World Cup. But it was all these other little special moments that were shared with some amazing people.
And also you've got like Sam Arakugbe's snowbank dive.
Yes.
Which is like a Canadian heritage moment. And No,
Yeah,
I mean, Azteca off its own right needs to be in there. My eye, which is what I thought you might have gone with, but I'm really glad you didn't now. The Impact de Montreal.
oh, it's a good one. I love it. I
Just because
love
I was
it.
struggling with eyes, I was like, I'm going with Impact for eye.
Oh,
But Impact as the name
yeah,
is what you associate with it. Because, like, for me, there's certain football clubs in North American football that just conjure up a certain memory or a certain time period. So
yeah,
in the NASL in the US, 70s, what do you think of New York Cosmos?
yeah.
Okay, like everything like that. For in Canada, the Whitecaps at NASL, the Whitecaps, the 86ers, you've got all
CSL,
that as
yeah,
well in the CSL. And for Montreal, it was the Impact.
yeah,
They were formed in 1992. They didn't join the CSL. They played in the APSL that later became the A League in 1993, and they were such a force in D2 football
yes,
in the A League and USL and the NASL as it was before they moved to MLS in 2012. They won three national championships, 1994's APSL, in only their second year in existence, the 2004 A League,
yep,
and sadly, as we know, 2009's USL Championship.
yeah.
When,
I was there both legs.
yeah, they beat the Whitecaps in two legs with Mark DeSantis at the helm. They also, in that D2 era, won seven Voyagers Cups.
Yes,
And the name of Impact lived on in MLS, and it was great, and it was history, like we have here with the Whitecaps, like the Sounders have, like the Timbers have. And then I, I, as an outsider, and I know the strong feelings from the insiders, I don't understand why you kill it in 2020 to go with CF Montreal to try and appeal to a wider fan base that I don't even know exists or cares.
yeah. It's really awkward. It was really awkward then. It still feels awkward now. It was, yeah, iconic, historic. Joey Saputo put so much into building up that football club to make it. It was great, and yeah, obviously from back in the day, I have good friends from UMO2. I have some friends from a couple people I know from the I forget what the I forget what they're called, the Bellin guys, 1642 or whatever the year Montreal was founded or whatever. I know some of those dudes as well, and yeah, I mean the UMO2 guys, I know they just loathe
Oh,
the change.
it's just such a sad thing because changing it to CF Montreal has not done anything to grow them because the team on the pitch has been crap. And they're
Yeah,
in for a tough season, as we'll talk about in the next part as well.
yeah.
But
So even if you that's one of the things, right? Even if you could argue like, hey, the brand needed to be changed, and we made the brand better or whatever. Well, you might have achieved some of the off the field things, but you didn't achieve the important thing, which is what you're doing on the pitch. So it like devalues that upgrade, quote unquote, that you made to the brand or to
Mhm.
the like the identity of the club, or I don't know. These are all terms I don't like to use, but you know what I mean, right?
No, but
Like,
that's modern day football talk, and it's
oh, of
like
course, yeah,
we want to be known on a wider audience over in Europe. We'll see if Montreal gets us more respect. I don't know that it does. When you've got a club called Inter Miami, which is just laughable in itself,
yeah,
but like they're like, well, yeah, we'll go with Inter Miami. We don't have to just be Miami or whatever, although they couldn't really have anyway. But yeah, I mean, for me, Impact as a name of a club, very, very much Canadian soccer history. I've got three honourable mentions quickly. Another one I thought you might have gone for. It's a stretch, but Callum Irvin, just because he's
oh
Vancouver
yeah,
FC's first ever signed player.
yeah. He would be an honorable mention for me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he. We'll maybe talk about him in a month or two in greater detail.
Well, yes, because I want to play the audio that I asked him before the Champions Cup game about why he stayed with the club. So yeah,
Yeah,
we'll talk about that. But the other two honourable mentions is family affairs. The Ions. Does that ring any bells to you? IONS. Or ION, really, but the Ions.
Yeah, that does for some reason, but I can't put my finger on it.
Well, they're Vancouver's very own Gordon Ion and Greg Ion, a father and son that have both been capped for the Canadian national team. Father Gordon, who's still 91 years young, was a starting outside right in 2 matches during the FIFA World Cup qualifiers in 1957 against the US and Mexico. Those were his only 2 caps, but he's in the Canada Soccer Hall of Fame. He was the BC most outstanding player in the 1952-53 season and won a slew of titles in BC in the PCSL back in the day. His son, Greg, made 7 international appearances from 1983 to 88 with the national team, including 6 A appearances. And he started the World Cup game in Mexico in 1986 against Hungary. So it's rare to have a father and son, both Canadian internationals. But I've also got some brothers that were Canadian internationals as well. Swiss-born midfielder Daniel Imhoff.
Yeah.
37 appearances for Canada between 2000 and 2009. So I don't remember him at all.
Oh, I do. He played in the Bundesliga. He played in the Swiss league.
Yeah,
played for the national team a bunch. I used to always. He would be a guy I would always bring into my third or second division teams in Germany to bolster my midfield.
Well, his younger brother, who's born in Alberta, Dominic, also got just the 1 senior cap in a friendly against Cyprus in 2009. So we've got a father and son eye and a pair of brothers eye, which is like, there's not a lot of eyes in general, but to get those 2 unique things with that 1 letter, I just appealed to me.
I know this came up in one of our discussions before, and I know it doesn't really count, but I want to give honorable mention also to Ian Bridge.
I knew you were going to say that, and I was all set to go, he's a B.
I know. So then, just because, obviously playing for, all he did on the field, but also in my time and all the stuff he's done off the field in terms of coaching, both in the men's and the women's game, in here on the island, all kinds of stuff. So,
well, I thought about maybe going with international Ians. Was one of the ones I was looking at, and then I found these other ones. So I was quite happy with that. I'm happy you didn't go with Impact, because that was the one I wanted to go with.
That was a great one.
So we will be back next episode with the letter J. Okay, we're about 5 hours into the podcast. We should probably get talking Whitecaps now. MLS season off and running, and the Whitecaps have done it with a win. Not the prettiest, as Jesper Sorensen admitted post-game, but it gets the job done, and that's all that really matters. And in these early days, when you've still got players missing from injury, you've still got players that haven't arrived with the team, from visa issues, although we'll touch on that in the last part as well. And you've got players still trying to find the chemistry, fitting into the system, everything that's going on. It's good to get the season off to a win. They were the better team. They deserved the win. There's a lot we'll talk about that wasn't necessarily perfect, but you keep grinding these wins out early while you're hitting the ground running, finding your rhythm, which is the big thing that Jesper says they're struggling to find right now. Hey, 3 points is 3 points.
Absolutely. It totally feels, job done. And it's in this moment where there is this incompleteness, both, as you mentioned, with players available and whatever, but also this incompleteness with, like you said, them clicking together. Coming out, results are not the be all, the end all in the preseason, but there was a few moments where you're like, okay, but there's a lot of times where watching those highlights where you're just like, they're not quite clicking yet, especially obviously going forward.
Yeah,
a little bit. The
final third play was just falling short, and the chances that they were creating just weren't getting taken.
And when you look like, okay, they have the first opening game. They have their opening competitive match. They get a clean sheet. Job well done, especially in a competition where like away goals are still an important thing.
Yeah.
But the offense wasn't clicking. I mean, there were chances for sure. The offense just again still wasn't quite clicking. They come into this game to number one again, keep that clean sheet, and take the 3 points with a well taken goal. I think, yeah, we'll get to some of the things about the performance in a few moments here, but I think you can't really complain. It wasn't a classic, but it wasn't a game that lacked for entertainment or that lacked for quality attempts and quality play.
They were moving the ball forward. Well, first half, RSL in the counter looked really dangerous.
Yeah,
and,
totally.
Like Piol was excellent in that first half for him. We'll hear actually from him in the next part. But I thought he was lively. It gave the defence a good test that on the whole they stood up to. I think the fans went home happy because you got the 3 points. But they need to be better for some of the tests that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. And it's early in the season. And ultimately, it doesn't necessarily matter how you start, it's how you finish. Mm-hmm. But when you've got these games at home, it is kind of important this year for the Whitecaps how they start. And they've started with a win. And that you've got to remember as well that they are juggling these two competitions right now. And they had, Jesper kind of alluded to it being a bit of a hellish travel day coming home from Houston, or coming home via Houston, coming home from Costa Rica on Thursday. They got in late. They then did some training at BC Place, and it was a longish session that they had on Friday as well. So very little rest. There was 3 changes just to the starting lineup as well from Wednesday to Saturday. So you've got some tired legs out there. Thomas Mueller came in as the 10, which we would have expected. AZ Jackson got the start on the left wing, which, as he told us last week, his favourite position that he likes to play in. And then you had Ralph Priso come back into the centre of the defence as we expected. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily I then expected Matty Laborda to be at right back.
Yeah, that was, we thought he would go left back, right?
Yeah, and you'd rest Tate and keep Tate for Wednesday. Now, that said, Tate for me was the second best Whitecap player out there.
Yeah.
Arguably even the first.
Yeah.
And he's had 2 great performances. And I asked him after the game, and I asked Jesper about him as well. For Tate, it's like he must think there's so much competition at this spot. I need to go out, show what I can do, and say, hey, you need to take this starting spot off me because this is my starting spot now. Yeah,
I think there's probably a little bit of that to it, but if it still feels too much, or too much, everything is based on this juggling of the competitions and juggling not load management so much, but like balancing the players out over the competition so that no one's too tired, everyone's in peak form, and everyone can contribute to get the results the club needs.
Yeah. Now, long-time listeners will know how much I love Matty Laborda.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he had a great game on Saturday, but I saw a lot of criticism of him that I don't fully get that he was that bad either. Maybe there was a couple of little lapses that he had. You've got to remember, this is a guy that for the bulk of last year was playing left back. And then we've just seen him on Wednesday as a central defender. And now he's right back. To get used to those changes in a short period of time and adjust your game, there's going to be some teething issues.
And I know he's mostly judged on what he does at the back, but he did also have that beautiful sort of backheel attempt at goal.
Oh, yes. That was really nice. Where he was strong last year was aerial presence in the box from corners and free kicks, and they didn't seem to get the ball to him in that regard this time around.
No, not as much, but I mean, it's early days, so I'm not too worried about that.
Oh, no, yeah. Now, I was curious after I saw the criticism, so I went on FOTMob, and he had a 7.6 rating. So it's a decent rating. But yeah, him at right back, Ralph Priso, I thought Ralph had a good game.
I thought Ralph was great.
He got the worst rating of the defense on FotMob,
What was it? 7?
6.9.
Yeah.
I'm going
So
to talk a little bit more about ratings in over the next two parts on that, because some interesting
yeah, he
ones.
had a couple of recovery runs that were
Yes.
huge, and we were saying to each other as they were unfolding, and about how this is helping him make that claim for the Canadian squad for the summer.
Yeah. I like right now, for me, you've got to go with Blackman and Priso as your starters at centre back. Then when Ranko comes back in, it's a little bit of a headache for Jesper because you've got a lot of quality players that can play that, but there's a lot of competitions. So, I mean, the game itself, both teams attacking in the early going, Whitecaps dominating the possession and dictating the play, but RSL looking very dangerous on the counter, very quick, good ball movement. What I would say from an RSL perspective is their deliveries at set pieces, corners, free kicks in particular, really let them down. Some of their deliveries was just poor. Some of the decision making was poor. Some of the decision making on attacks was poor.
Yeah, but you got to remember that RSL on the Thursday before the game had 3 significant players go down,
Yeah,
and it was like
all in the same training session,
all in this,
bizarrely.
all in the same training session, all separate incidents, and it really messed them up. Like being in Pablo's post-match Pablo Mastroeni's post-match press conference, he was basically said Thursday night there was at least 5 positions they didn't know who was going to start the match on Saturday.
Yeah. And like Diego Luna, their talisman, was one of those guys.
Yeah, which was huge. And so then they relied on even more young players. I mean, they have a bunch of young players anyways, but they relied on even more young players. And that was one of the interesting things that I was sort of telling you part of in the post-match, as you headed off to the home team and I headed off to the away team to cover them. I jumped in the elevator before you, and I jumped in the elevator with all the RSL top brass, and I saw a familiar face, and I hadn't heard what his role was there. So I just looked over at him. I said, "Hey, what's your role down?" And it was Jason Kreese, and I forget the exact wording, but he's like one of the top dudes now. Because of course we know him, or originally know him from his time as their head coach, leading him to the MLS Cup down in 2009 down in Seattle.
Excellent coach.
Outstanding. But he's back, and so just said to him and his colleagues in the those few moments on the ride down, I just said, unfortunate result for you or whatever, and they're like, yeah, and they're like, yeah, but we were really pleased with the overall performance. And then they said, yeah, we had like whatever it was, 5 teenagers or 5 guys under 21 or 23 or whatever it was. And I said to them, I said, yeah, the young 18-year-old in the center midfield, I thought acquitted himself really, really well. We talked, very, very briefly, but it was really interesting. And Pablo, obviously, when we talked about that a lot further, which I think you'll hear a bit later.
We'll play a little bit. It was interesting when he was pointing out who he had in the positions and who the Whitecaps had.
Yes,
in the positions, and it makes you think. Then it's like, I mean, when we do like general MLS chat in the next part as well, not the only team to do well with some young players this weekend,
which is a really interesting thing for the league.
Yeah, I think it bodes well though for RSL, because they were a team I was a little bit concerned about when you look at who they've brought in, who's gone, can they hold on to Luna? I mean, we don't know how long Luna's out for, but they need him fit and healthy.
So some of those deliveries you're talking about weren't great, but in the post-match, Aiden, I can't pronounce his last name properly.
Yes, I can't either.
But they one of the things they talked to him about was the fact that he chose, like, it was like that initial free kick right at the beginning of the game, and he stepped up to take it as an 18-year-old. And he was one of the guys, I think, who came in partly due to Luna's absence or one of the other injuries or whatever. And it was like his second ever MLS game, his first start and all this kind of stuff, right? And there's like, so it was kind of ballsy of you to just grab the first free kick and be like, I'm taking it, because. And he was just like, yeah, I really like to take free kicks, and so I thought, it's there, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah,
and whatever.
Jesper Sorensen.
Hazarkani, yeah, Aiden Hazarkani, who's had some success with coming through their system with the Real Monarchs. And anyways, as much as there were some deficiencies in their performance on the whole. If you're an RSL fan, I don't think you have to be that discouraged from a 1-0 loss to the reigning Western Conference champions in their home opener in their ground, where they perform really, really well.
Yeah. They went outplayed. They made the Whitecaps work hard, and they also had the ball in the net in the 38th minute.
Yes.
Which we watched it live. We watched the replays at the game. I came home and watched it. I feel this is so harsh. I have not seen a definitive angle that categorically makes me think it's offside. Now, the thing is, the linesman put the flag up. So I haven't seen anything that overturns the on-pitch decision, but I haven't seen anything that makes me think it was offside to begin with. But it's been given on the pitch, and there's no clear angle because we don't have the lines. Now, from one of the angles, it looks like his knee might be a bit off.
Yeah.
But I can't be 100% certain. If that was against the Whitecaps, I would be absolutely
livid. Oh, yeah. I resisted the urge in the post-game because Mastroeni did talk, like, briefly, said basically that we don't have the technology that makes this easier to call. And this is the first time of who knows how many times this will happen this year, where if they had that technology, which a number of their stadiums are going to be employing this summer, that they could get these things scientifically correct. And
it was a long review as well.
Yes, very long. Which you said to me, you're like, the longer this goes, the more it's looking like this is going to count. But yeah, I agree with your assessment in terms of the call on the field. It doesn't appear that there's clear and obvious video evidence to overturn it, but it feels like RSL is probably let down, or the Whitecaps are maybe a little bit let off the hook without that advanced technology.
Yeah.
But if you're the Whitecaps, from your own history that there are lots of these that will go against you down the road.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't worry about that. You dodge the bullet and you keep going.
It was a lovely finish from Piol, and it wasn't him that was offside. It was Catranes as the ball comes through.
Yes.
But, I mean, that, again, should give RSL some hope for what they can get going, because it was a lovely move. But they dodged a bullet, and, I mean, the Whitecaps had a couple of chances. Thomas Mueller had crashed one off the post. A big talking point, I think, amongst the RSL fans, and I, again, in the stadium, we didn't really see anything at the time. So watching it back, Emmanuel Sabe's very lucky he did not get a red card in the 50th minute.
He could get discoed, right?
I think he could. It was given as a yellow, but I think they could look at it and say there was a decision to be made. To me, he goes over the ball into just kind of above the ankle in the shin area. There's no malice to it, but he's taken out the one player and he's followed through in the second. And I genuinely don't know how that wasn't at least called over to have a look at on the monitor.
Yeah, it's like one of those orange cards, right? Where you see them go both ways, but I think it's a little bit unfortunate for the visitors that they don't see the benefit from that. But again, if you're the Whitecaps, you're going to have those go against you later in the year too, so you don't worry about it. Just to talk about Sabe for a second, I thought he wasn't like lights out, but I thought you saw those flashes that you want to see.
Well, he's still getting up to full match fitness as well, because he didn't play any of the pre-season games. Could only do a half in Costa Rica. Did longer in this game, just over an hour. Actually, what time did he get taken off? The 68th minute, So basically midway through the second half. So he's building those minutes up, and they need him to, because they need some support for Brian White. And maybe it's going to come from AZ Jackson. Great to see him getting off and running early. I thought he was the most dangerous looking attacking player out there. Very heavily involved in the first half. Kicked off the park in the first half. And I asked him about that in the post game, and he just laughed and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll welcome it all." It's like if they want to kick me, I'll just get up and I'll smile. And if I'm getting under their skin, that's good. That's what I want to do. It's like they were targeting him big time in that first half. Every time he got the ball, he seemed to be then pushed over or kicked over or heavy challenge on him. And he basically started and finished the move that led to the only goal of the game. He gets the ball in the wing, lovely little turn inside, then cuts inside, lays it off to Kubis. Kubis gives it to Tate Johnson, who's made the run forward. Now, an element of luck, obviously, because Tate's cross deflects off the ass of one of the RSL players straight into the path of AZ Jackson. But a beautiful finish for him.
That was the former Seattle Sounder defender, DeAndre Yedlin.
Oh, was it off him?
Yeah, I believe.
It was like nestled beautifully into the bottom corner.
Yeah. It was, I think, AZ Jackson, whatever.
Action Jackson,
yeah. I think one of the things that was interesting about him is he'll get the hair comparisons to Jaden Nelson, yeah. But they're very different types of players. Doesn't have that out and out pace. It's not like he's slow. He has bursts and he loves to take players on. It feels like maybe even he likes to take players on, maybe even a little more than Jaden, whereas Jaden felt more speed oriented.
Yeah.
Like get into space. Maybe a little more tricksy. The thing about the goal that was impressive for me was the decision to take it first time.
Yeah.
And that was, ended up being, just brilliant.
Going back to the FOTMob ratings, he got 8.3. He was the top rated player in the match. And I think for me, him and Tate Johnson were the two standouts in this, as I mentioned. But a second clean sheet to start the year. There wasn't really too much in the later stages from either side that looked to add to it. A few scares maybe with Yohei the ball at his feet.
Yes, I text this to you, yes. But when I got home, Kirk was like, I have a new nickname for the Whitecaps keeper. And I was like, what's that? He's like, Yohei Heart Attacker.
There was a couple of moments like, or the ball was played across the goal to him. It's like, why are you playing it across? Now, Jesper did say he wasn't happy that after taking the lead, so much of their play was passing backwards. That's not how he wants them to play. That's not his MO.
Yeah.
But he wasn't happy with that. But you also have to then credit RSL a little bit for the press that was forcing them backwards.
I was impressed with how RSL kind of didn't quit, didn't be like, oh, we're losing to the Western Conference champs, and let's just be happy with a one goal defeat. Piol, Ari as they call him, was really, I think, impressive in both his press, even on the ball, and getting into space like he did for the goal that was called back. But yeah, they didn't quit, which I think Salt Lake fans will be very, very pleased with.
It's interesting how teams are going to approach this big run at BC place that the Whitecaps have. Because we've seen teams that come in here and just bunker, and the Whitecaps struggle to break them down. And the way that they're playing at the moment, it does feel like this isn't a Whitecaps side that's maybe necessarily going to be able to break them down very easy until they get some of their other players back or they've got that chemistry going. But if teams want to come and do the high press or hit on the counter, that kind of plays into how the Whitecaps want to play. But you still have to break through those lines as well. I thought Kubis was getting forward quite a bit in this game, more than I'm used to seeing him, it felt.
Especially at the end. He was pressing so high, and that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was nice to see.
It was a game, though, that you and I talked about. Like, it felt like a different feeling than like last year, where there were so many games where you're just like, oh, whatever, the Whitecaps are gonna. It doesn't matter what happens; they'll come back. Or if that offside goal counted, it wouldn't matter. I just felt like they were. I felt like they were gonna a similar way. I felt like they were gonna score in this game.
Yeah, you said that early.
I thought RSL might get a goal, but the Whitecaps are going to get at least two. Is how I felt. and there's nervy moments where you're like, I'm not so sure. Because what did you say pregame? Was it 2-0?
2-0. I thought I didn't see RSL scoring.
I thought it was going to be 3-1. As the game went on, I thought, okay, it's going to be 2-1.
Well, as soon as Luna was out, I was like, I don't see them scoring. But then I don't know where our goals are coming from at the moment as well, because the creativity and service is lacking, and it will come. But it was a concern for me pre-season from what we saw. It's these two games. It's been a little bit of a concern. Just the link-up play in the final third, the chemistry, the understanding. Brian White and Thomas Mueller don't seem to have that kind of telepathetic Ryan Bryan connection that we saw. But that might come as well. And a player like Thomas Mueller, he reads the game so well, he's going to start to get more used to playing with Brian, because they haven't played a lot of games together.
No, there were definitely a couple of moments where either it was the pass went one way, the run went the other, or vice versa. And yeah, so you just have this feeling like it all still can gel. And I think that chemistry, that cohesion that everyone's looking for between Brian and Thomas, I think it will come.
Oh no, I definitely will. And we're just going to have to see it play out in real time, basically.
Yeah.
The other thing as well, like there was a couple of times White, it felt he kind of cut a frustrated figure out there. And he was like, pass me the ball, I'm open here. But someone either hasn't looked up and seen him, or they've looked up and they've gone with another pass. And that was lots of players, including Thomas Mueller. And it's like, just give the ball to your top scorer. And then the one time he does get the ball, in stoppage time, after good work from Jeevan Badwal to cut it back, he kind of flashes at it and doesn't get a full connection. And his FOTMob score or rating was 6.2, which I think says it all.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he wasn't getting involved in the game. His teammates weren't finding him enough. There's a couple of times where he dropped a little bit deeper to try and get on the ball, but that didn't seem to help. He got on the end of like whatever, it was one or two chances, it felt like, but they do have to bring him into the game. One of the things that was interesting for me, and this was came out of a conversation before you got there, I was having with Sam. It feels like with Sebi and now with AZ or some of the other options, Kenji, it feels like they are wingers or wide players who also can play centrally, or I mean, they're kind of playing inverted or whatever, and they're more so than last year. They're more likely to cut in, and so unlike Ali or someone who's last year who's going to go wide, going to stay wide, Nelson who wants to get wide, who can use his pace out wide. It's going to change, or it's likely to dictate a change for Jesper in terms of what that means for, the Ocampos, the Johnsons, the Labordas, whoever's playing fullback, Sam eventually, right? Because last year it seemed like the fullbacks had to kind of play more narrow because the wingers were more wide, and now it seems like there's likely to be the opposite. And we saw it in this game even, and even I think a little bit with the goal, where you had Johnson with the width or whatever. But that's going to be an adjustment for them. And I think that also has the potential to impact Brian White in terms of the space he has.
Well, yeah, if they're cutting inside as opposed to hitting the byline and cutting it back, that's where he was thriving on goals last year. And
that's also an adjustment for Thomas Mueller in terms of space and where people are and who's where. It's not a crazy drastic change, but I think it is something that Jesper and the coaching staff will, probably are and will continue to be mindful of about how do they want to play that. So, having the wingers wider with the fullbacks, the wingers tucking in a little bit more or choosing to go in more with the fullbacks going wider and providing the width more. It's just something I think to watch and to see. It'll be interesting to see how it kind of plays out.
Last thing in this part, obviously another game coming up on Wednesday. They're coming thick and fast. Cartagines in the second leg of the Champions Cup, a 6:30 kickoff as well. Yeah. And if folk haven't seen, you're not allowed to bring reusable bottles to this game. It's a CONCACAF directive.
Yeah.
So no metal water bottles, no empty water bottles. You won't be allowed in with it. There'll be some changes on Wednesday. Like Ryan Illumi didn't get on, and I'm wondering, does he get the start? on Wednesday because they feel we'll get the goals that we need, and if we need, we can bring Brian off the bench. Does Ollie Larraz, who didn't play on Saturday, maybe start instead of Kubis? And
you think Badwell's going to start again?
I think Badwell's going to start again because he came on in the 87th minute. Campo, I think, will be in at right back. Cabrera, I think, will be the left wing.
Having watched him play live for the first time this year, I really appreciate like last year. It felt with Badwell, like he was a lot of what he did was safe. I mean, he obviously scored and did some great things, but it felt like last year he was more focused on like just trying to keep earning his minutes, like not do something wrong to like make him. And it wasn't like all safe, but it was, let's say, safer. Whereas this year, in the role he had away to Cartago and even in his substitute role against RSL, it feels like he has more freedom to try things, to be a little bit more creative. His little
cameo on Saturday.
Totally. I'm excited to see what he can do in the home leg in this fixture, especially if he gets to start and feeling that confidence of like, hey, I'm starting these continental matches, and I mean, last one in an advanced role.
Which we might see again. Him, Illumi in front, Cabrera on the left, Sabi on the right, Larraz and Berhalter behind.
But did you see Cartago's match this weekend?
No.
They played at home. I can't remember who they're playing, Libertad, or so I forget who it is. But they went down. Yeah, they went down, and they ultimately came back and won 2-1.
Oh, yeah. It was today as well. So they're now going to have the long travel and...
So all that to say, though, there's opportunity to get out and go and watch, support at this game. I mean, when you think back to last year, what this opening round was, they were good games. It was tight, and it was the beginning of an incredible run. And to be able to say
Seattle next to come,
and to be able to say you were there for the whole ride is something special.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't have to work. Otherwise, I'd be there. I really wanted. I love seeing teams beat Cartago. I would love to have been there.
Well, that's it for our look from the Whitecaps RSL. We're going to talk a little bit more RSL in the next part, along with looking up a quick roundup of how the first week went in the MLS West and some of the big talking points coming out of that. And we'll be back with that after the first of our final two songs this month from our Artist of the Month.
Hey guys, I'm AZ Jackson. I'm here in the AFTN Soccer Show.
Oh, where are you now? Pussy willow that smiled on this leaf. When I was alone, you promised a stone from your heart. My head kissed the ground. I was half the way down, treading the sand. Please lift a hand. I'm only a person whose armbands beads on his hands hang tall. Won't you miss me? Wouldn't you miss me at all? The poppy birds wave, swing twigs, coffee brands around, brandish her wand with a feathery tongue. My head kissed the ground, I was half the way down, treading the sand. Please lift a hand. I'm only a person with Eskimo chain. I tattooed my brain. Don't you miss me? Couldn't you miss me at all?
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's the penultimate song from our Artist of the Month for February, Syd Barrett. We're focusing on the former Pink Floyd man's solo work, And as I've mentioned over the course of the month, he had 2 official solo studio albums. And then in 1978, they did release a third album called Opal, which was 8 previously unreleased songs and some different versions of songs that had featured on his first 2 albums. And what you've heard to kick off this part is an alternative version of a song that featured on Syd Barrett's debut album, The Madcap Laughs. That was Wouldn't You Miss Me, Dark Globe. And we'll be back with our final song for the month from Syd Barrett to kick off the next part. So let's get back to the football chat now. And obviously in the last part, we gave our breakdown of Whitecaps against RSL. I want to bring you a little bit of audio to kick off this part. And we'll start with hearing from RSL head coach Pablo Mastroeni. A couple of questions from Zach and just his thoughts on that performance against the Whitecaps on Saturday evening.
Let's just start pretty generally. What did you like? What did you dislike? I think a lot of questions are maybe going to be asked about the final third. So what did you see out of the attack, or maybe not see that you feel like you can work on?
Yeah, well, I think it's I'd like to back up and just express how proud I am of that performance today. I think every game has to be taken into context, and again, there was probably 6 different players that we did not know who was going to start on Thursday, and so we had literally a day prep going into this game, and so I think just starting with that alone, it was a fantastic performance, especially being on the road against last year's Western Conference champs. Again, I couldn't be more proud of the effort. You know, the 3 guys that got their debuts, their starting debuts, and Aiden and Luca and Zach. Again, wonderful performances, full of grit, full of fight, and there was some really good quality in and amongst that. And so I think we can get to all the particulars, but again, I don't think this is what this game was about. I think this game was about mentality, about going on the road with 5 or 6 players that didn't know they were playing on Thursday. But stepping up today and performing extremely, extremely well. In the final third, you're always, again, that piece is going to be the trickiest piece. I think we had probably 3 really good opportunities to capitalize, and then it just comes down to decisions. I think there's one where Ari broke away in the first half, had Aiden and Zach both in the middle of the field, and decided to go at it alone, right? Second half, we had a good transition where it was it was a 2v, 3v2, or 2v1 with Serge and Ari and Goza overlapping, and you'd like to see that finished off. And so I think when you go on the road, you're not gonna get a lot of clear chances. And then obviously the one that was called offsides, which to me was a hairline call. It could have gone either way. And so there's 3 good opportunities to find yourself into the match, and then it just comes down to decisions. But that for me is real secondary. The primary is the context of this performance, given what the hardships that we went through this week, not knowing who was going to be available for this game on Thursday.
The schedule makers weren't super kind to you, having to come to play the Western Conference champions at a place like BC Place. I just wonder if you could talk about how was just facing Vancouver under Jesper Sorensen for the second year, and how he's kind of approaching things, and how they're trying to maintain that high level and kind of carry on from what they did last year.
Yeah, no. I think their team is, like I said earlier, they're a real experienced bunch. And I think when you have experience and you have guys like Brian White that scored a ton of goals, you have Mueller who's scored a ton of goals and assisted a ton of goals at the highest level of the game for many years. You got Sebastian Berhalter, you got Kubas. We were talking about national team players. You got Blackman. They're just a really, really experienced quality team. And then coming up here was never going to be easy. And that's why I'm so proud of this performance, because I understand what it is to play against a team like that. It's not easy. And for the players to buy in, for the players to really, trust each other to play the game. And again, we didn't get everything right, but that will come with time. We had a couple teenagers on the field, three teenagers on the field. I mean, we had Gozo playing Mueller's position. We had Luca playing Kuba's position or Berhalter, and Aiden playing, it was again, it's all about expectations. What are your expectations? Are we going to play Vancouver off the park in BC Place? No, that's not what was expected. However, did we compete the right way? Did we create an opportunity 2 or 3 to score a goal? And we did that. Did we defend well against a really good team? We did that. And so I just feel like this is it's a good performance from our part. And obviously, Jesper's doing a really good job with that group, and they'll continue to be a force in the West.
One question about one individual player, DeAndre Yedlin. I know you have a bunch of injuries and a bunch of stuff going on, but seeing him in a right-sided center back in a back three, I know it's maybe not what he's done a lot of in his career. I just wonder if you speak to his qualities and how you saw him before up until you get to take.
Yeah, no, I think, and again, this is more, we started preseason. We want to look at Gozo as a wing back. And I think having that wing back that's 1v1 dangerous is really important in the way we want to play. And so, we put Dre as a right side center back, a position that he's played in the past, not so frequently, but he played really well in the preseason games. His level of comfort, having played in this system in Cincinnati, really allows him to communicate really well with both Jake Glad on his left and Gozo or Dominic Marsuk on the right. And I think that's a big thing for our group at the moment, is having somebody that communicates well, has experience, can read plays. And DeAndre's done a really, really good job. And at times we want to release him. This game didn't really offer that opportunity much given Vancouver's shape. But I think he's done a wonderful job, and obviously at the end there, I think he started cramping up and got tight. So just being precautious with that.
Commiserations on the defeat, but yeah, all the best.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So Pablo Mastroeni there, Zach, went down in my estimation a bit when he used the phrase offsides, plural. Who does he think he is? John Conway?
Oh my, yeah, that's it seems like an American thing, doesn't it? Unfortunately,
it very much is. I do like Pablo. I think he's a good coach. I think he's in for a tough ride this year, as we've talked about. But I mean, definitely, yeah, you hear his optimism. He's looking at the glass half full approach, and we touched on the reasons why. And I really think in Ari Piol up front,
yeah,
they've got a really good striker there. He's fast, he's big. I think he could come into his own this year for them.
Yeah, great opportunity. I mean, it's likely he'll see a bunch of time up front with Diego Luna behind him, which I think can help any striker. So yeah, it's exciting. I think I was looking at how he did last year, and it was like, yeah, he had a bunch of starts. He came off the bench a bunch. But I think they have high hopes for him this year. Well,
you got a chance to chat with Ari Piol as you walked to the bus.
Yeah.
Because I had to have a quick getaway. So the sound quality is not great, but we'll bring it to you. It's worth hearing what he says. And as a former A-League player, and I love the A-League, we'll get as many of them on the show as we can. Here's Zach chatting to Ari Piol.
Obviously, your second season at RSL, you're looking to make the breakthrough. You come to BC Place. I just wonder if you can talk about how you felt the performance went.
I think it's a performance with a lot of positives in it. Obviously, we didn't win. That was the main objective coming here, but there were a lot of positives to take from it. A lot of young boys that got their debuts today, and stepping stones so we can build on it.
How frustrating was that to see that goal called back?
It's always frustrating. Every striker wants to score. We did everything right. Margins in the game, so just continue to build on it, and then hopefully it falls next week.
You came here via the A-League, right? I was just wondering, how you've been enjoying MLS and just the change of experience and coming to full big stadiums like this at BC Place.
I think the A-League's pretty similar to the MLS. Obviously, the MLS has a lot more quality, a lot more resources, but the way the game's played and and everything like that is pretty similar. So I feel like I've adjusted pretty well, and I used last year as an adjustment year, and this year to kind of step forward.
Cool. Thank you so much, man. All the best for your season. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks,
So yeah, we'll see what the season holds in store for RSL and for Ari Piol in particular.
Because of the brevity of it all, I didn't get asked, but he's the kind of guy I'd love to ask more questions about. Just reading up a little bit on him, seeing that his family, he was born in Australia, but his family is from Sudan.
Yes.
And fled Sudan and moved to Australia. I'd love to, hear more about that and hear more about his family story. And
well, we can depending on how he's doing for the return leg, we can set a little Zoom chat up with him.
Yeah.
And I'll just ask him lots of weird questions about the A-League.
Yeah.
But let's do a quick roundup of the week's action in MLS Week 1. We got to see a lot of the new jerseys. Some of them I liked a little bit better than when I just saw the stills of it. I'm not liking the US 250 badge in the middle of all the American.
Is that an entire season thing?
I'm assuming it is.
It's awful.
And thankfully they haven't forced the Canadian teams to have it.
Yeah, it is awful. What league? I guess it's very American, right? Like,
there's a couple of 250 jerseys which made sense, and I liked them. Like the Philly one, I said I loved the Philly one, and it's a nod to that, and the Revolution one's that as well. But that right in the middle,
it's awful. I'm sorry.
Sleeve back, something like that. Fine, if you want to do it.
It's not the national team. Like
no, even the bottom of the jersey where they have the flag on one side, put that on the other. Yeah. Something like that. You'd be like, yeah, okay. It's nice to honour the country's anniversary. I get that. It's a momentous occasion.
Yeah, it looks like when you get some of those hats and they have the silver stickers on the. It looks like that. Sometimes like, oh, they forgot to take a sticker off this jersey. Like it's. Yeah.
Which I don't like the silver sticker. I always take the silver stickers off, and I know fashion-wise, folk leave the silver stickers on.
I take them off. Yeah. I'm an old man. I take them off too.
Yeah, it leaves a horrible mark sometimes because it's cleaner than the rest of your hat. But
that'll change over time.
Oh yes, mine's most certainly do. Yeah, we'll get into some of the games. I'll rattle through them because the first part obviously we went long. So
I watched every single match highlight. I watched. What did I watch?
I didn't watch some of the All Eastern games.
I watched all the highlights.
I'm more focusing on the West, and then we've got a special little bit we're going to do at the end, which was an idea that Zach came up with.
So
him full credit for this because I love it. So the action kicked off for the whole of the season with the match that everybody wants to see as your first game of the year. St. Louis hosting Charlotte. I mean, it's one of those big games that everyone's like, drop what you're doing. MLS is kicking off, and it's St. Louis against Charlotte.
You're hilarious.
I mean, it wasn't a bad game, but it was an odd one to have as your first game of the year, considering last year they had a Friday night game with Miami. But both goals in this, it was 1-1. Both goals came in the last half hour. St. Louis looked a better team from the start. They took the lead in the hour mark from Hartel. It seemed to wake Charlotte up, and Piol tied it up in the 73rd minute. Promising signs, I felt, though, for St. Louis. A Klausless St. Louis side.
Yeah, nice. I like how you said it. Marcel Hartel is looking good.
Yeah.
He's a former St. Pauli player. He had a couple of years, I think, out with injury. Even last year, I think he was out with injury, if I'm not wrong. But he's a quality player in MLS, and it was good to see him get that goal. And yeah.
St. Louis, I thought were going to struggle. And obviously, like, first game of the year, you can't base what the season's going to be like based on how you play in game one. But as with RSL, I think there's a team in there, and they've got to find a way to play now without Klaus.
Yeah.
And we'll see what they do. I don't see them as a playoff team right now, but yeah, you never know.
And it was Zaha set up the goal for Charlotte, right?
Yeah. Zaha was pretty quiet in this. Wasn't the best start for Charlotte.
He was, but yeah, Kirk likes him ever since we watched the Crystal Palace doc on, I don't know, was it Prime or something? Yeah, he's one of his favorite players.
It was Houston 2, Chicago 1. Now, trailing till midway through the second half, Houston woke up after that.
Yep.
Hugo Kuipers pounced on a horrendous Houston giveaway for the opening goal in the 31st minute. And then Houston's new designated player, Brazilian winger, Guilherme, struck in the 67th and the 78th minute. And it saw the Dynamo start with a win. Bogusz hit the post in between those two goals for the Dynamo.
Yeah.
But you can see already that Guilherme's pace, his football IQ, he is going to cause all sorts of problems for MLS defences. That's a good pickup for them. And we'll talk MLS in general in the next part. But him and Bogusz together is going to be exciting.
I love me some Matty Bogusz, yeah.
Yeah. I think Houston's going to be a good team this year. Now, next week, it's the first derby of the season for the Whitecaps. Toronto come to town, and they're on the road to start with, weather-wise and everything. Went down to a 3-2 loss to Dallas. A decent game. Toronto have added a plenty in the off-season.
Yeah.
And they've spent a plenty as well. Didn't play, obviously, because it's just been finalised, but 22 million dropped to Norwich to bring Josh Sargent back to North America.
Up to 27.
27 it can go up to.
Bonuses. Unbelievable.
Now, I mean, it would be easy to say, oh, this is going to be another big money flop. But I think it's going to be another big money flop. He'll get some goals. I don't know that he's going to be the difference maker that they need. I don't know that he's worth 22 million. Coming on after the Italian debacle that flopped, this is crazy money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I think they overpaid on Jordi Mihailovic, who I like as a player, but I don't know that dropping 7 million on him either was the way to go.
Kirk watched, I think he might have watched this whole game live. And he said to me when he watched the highlights with me, he's just like, they should have spent some of the money on their defense.
Oh, yes. Because like One Soccer or Ontario Soccer posed the question, is this Toronto front four good enough to win the MLS Cup or are they MLS contenders? And it's like, in theory, if they get flying, they will score lots of goals.
Yeah.
Have a look at that back line, though. Because if you score 3, you have to hope that you're only giving up 2 because that defence was absolutely shocking. And
I know we were talking him up a little bit around his call-up and roll for the national team, but how do you pronounce it? Is it Gervan?
Yeah.
He did not look good.
No.
And I know it's one game, but yeah.
But the defence, they couldn't clear their lines. They were falling over in the box. They were just giving up space. They were allowing the shots. It was terrible defending.
Yeah.
And it's something that we've spoken about with teams in the past, like LAFC, the Galaxy. It's like all the focus is on the attack. You have to have that defence right.
Yeah.
And look at the Whitecaps. We've got a defence that you're fairly comfortable. You're going to keep a clean sheet or maybe give up 1 goal for most of your games. Some games you'll give up 2, 3, 4. You'll have the odd, terrible outing. But on the whole, 0 or 1 is what you're expecting the Whitecaps are going to give up. And right away, that gives you a big boost of, we don't need to score too much to get the 3 points here.
I noticed you avoided saying 5 there.
Yes. But Mihailovic scored for TFC. They've got the potency up top, and they had to come back to level twice in this one. Musa put Dallas ahead in the 9th minute. Mihailovic in the 15th. Etienne Jr. scored in the 67th as well. Farrington had scored for Dallas in the 38th. Then Musa gets the winner in the 74th. And yeah, TFC just need to work on that defence. What I would say going into the Whitecaps game, though, is I think they've got an attack that might be stretching the Whitecaps defence a little bit and really test how good that defence is. But I also think if we can find our shooting boots midweek and get some chemistry going, Thomas Muller, Sabi, Brian White, they can have a field day with that TFC backline.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It was Austin 2, Minnesota 2. It was an enjoyable game. I liked it. Two teams you kind of feel are rebuilding a bit. And some, as we heard in the last show, tipping Austin as a potential dark horse this year. Heinz Ike headed Austin ahead in the 7th minute from a corner before Duggan headed home a corner for Minnesota in the 40th minute. Izuni headed Austin back in front in the 76th minute, and they probably thought that was it. They were going to get off to a winning start. But Yeboah grabbed a late point for Minnesota in the 90th minute with, yes, you guessed it, a header. 4 headed goals in a game. You don't see that very often. I mean, it feels rare-ish. I mean, you do see it, but some nice headed goals. And again, some of the marking at the heading, not great.
No.
It's two teams that need to, again, get some chemistry with the new guys that they've brought in.
The saddest one was that opening goal where Boxy got out-jumped or got beaten to the ball.
Yeah, I think he knows this is probably his last season. And if it wasn't a World Cup year, I'm not sure he would be necessarily playing this season. He might have just called it a day by now.
Yeah, I wonder.
When I spoke to him last year, he kind of said, I'm getting old, I'm feeling it. Still a good player, though.
Yeah.
San Jose 3, Kansas City 0. And oh my, it looks a long season for Kansas City.
Well, especially I know it's been a few years now, but when you don't have a Johnny Russell to excite.
No, and you're giving Daniel Salaway away.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, just take another one of our best players. We don't need anyone. I mean, to be fair to KC, they didn't start too bad in this one. And they looked fairly decent for the first 38 minutes. But then they lost Justin Reynolds to an injury. And then the whole team, the shape, the composure, the structure, everything just collapsed. Mooney and Judd scored in the 3 minutes before half-time. That kind of did them in. Mooney then grabbed a second 9 minutes into the second half. It was game over. 2 goals given up to free headers as well. I'm quite glad that the Whitecaps will be getting KC in this batch of home games before the end of April, before they kind of add or find some rhythm or whatever.
I forgot to check. Is Timo Werner injured already?
There was some visa issues, I think.
Really?
I thought so.
Oh, okay. But he's still their player?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That wasn't the biggest gubbing of the weekend, though. That went to Montreal, who were destroyed by San Diego. Now, they did play the last 40 minutes down a man, but by that point, they were 2 goals down anyway. But if it's going to be tough for KC in the West this year, it's hard not to see Montreal right now not being bottom of the East.
Yeah, you feel a little bit for Montreal. That's probably one of the worst travels for an opening match, right?
Yeah.
You're just I don't know how early they went, but yeah.
Were excellent in the Champions Cup as well and have already got some games under the belt and some chemistry going.
Yeah. It was difficult watching for CF Montreal.
Yes. But I mean, you look at, there's been a lot of players gone for Montreal. You look at the players they brought in, and there's some decent players there. Thoralson they brought in from Orlando City, Brian Vera from RSL. They've got a guy on loan from Shakhtar Donetsk. They've got transfers in. Noah Strait, a forward from FC Basel. They've got Thomas Aviles on loan from Miami. So there's some good players there. But are they just good individuals and they're not good as a team? Because they were taken apart. They were outclassed. They were outplayed. San Diego just were running through them. Nice finishes. But, I mean, even at 11v11, they were struggling a little bit. McVeigh and Pellegrino had some nicely taken goals. Valakari, Ingvartsen and Zambi got the goals after the sending off. There was 8 shots on target for San Diego and 5 of them end up in the back of the net. The defending from Montreal, much like Toronto, was pretty woeful. They had so many players in the box for some of the goals, but yet San Diego players just had space. They were getting picked out and they were wide open to finish.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Montreal were going zonal and just not picking the players up.
It was pretty dreadful.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how Mark O'Donnell tries to come to grips with this.
He's got a tough one. Does he get given the season no matter what?
Well, you got to think Joey is probably not going to want to fire him, so it probably has to get pretty bad.
Yeah.
For that to
also, who wants to come in there? But then Joey can say, well, we've brought these players in, you're just not getting the best out of them.
Yeah.
That's another discussion we'll have in the next part a little bit as well. It was Portland 3, Columbus 2. Fairly decent game, a bit of a barn burner for first half.
I was for this game, I was like, okay, what's happened with Mo Farsi? So I looked it up, and he has I forget what the injury is, but it's like no determined return date.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up, but I was kind of sad and disappointed because I was really happy for him when he, did well in the CPL and then went to MLS Next Pro with Columbus, then jumped into the first team, was making good contributions. I'm not sure exactly what's happened to him, but
then it's hard for him to break back in.
Yeah.
The man that's brought you there is gone.
Yeah.
But Columbus disappointed a little in this. But Portland also impressed. I didn't see this coming for them. I thought it was going to be another opening day defeat and that Phil Neville was going to be kind of under pressure right away. Columbus did open the score in 6 minutes in from Abu Ali, and it was a shocking back pass that he just pounced on and then tucked it away nicely. But then Portland turned it around quickly. Mora in the 14th, Anthony in the 20th. Diego Rossi tied it up a minute before half-time. Portland looked the better team for me in the second half. The winner came 2 minutes from time from Ariel Lassiter after horrendous hesitation by the Crew defence in the box. There's a ball just sitting there. No one's attacking it. Lassiter just gets to it and tucks it away.
Yeah. Pantemis in goal starting for the Timbers, and Kamal Miller not starting but coming on.
Nice finishes from both teams in this one.
Yeah.
And I thought Portland did well, and it'll be interesting in 2 weeks' time. Whitecaps going down there and how that one plays out. That was all the Saturday games, bar one, which we're going to come to. We haven't forgotten it. 2 games on Sunday. LA Galaxy won, New York City won. An early goal from João Klaus, making his mark early on his LA debut, scoring within 2 minutes. A video review gave NYC a penalty in the 66th minute and saw Nicolas Fernandez, well, he buried that, but saw a second yellow for Emiro Garces.
What do you think about this one? I think, because Kirk and I were talking about this, it looked almost like, was it Fernandez himself who got taken down? I can't remember now. But
whoever got taken down.
Got taken down, it looks like it looks almost like they make contact with him, and then he's falling and touches them.
Yes.
And it felt so harsh. One, to be a penalty, and two, to then be also the second yellow. Like, it felt really harsh.
The commentators right away, when they said, if this is a penalty, it's going to be a second yellow because it's just it follows. But that makes it so harsh. It was clumsy. It was a 50-50 kind of bit of one way, bit the other.
And the crazy thing is too, they were, if I'm not wrong, they were about to sub that guy off partly because he had a yellow card.
Yeah.
Garces was, I think, Yoshida, the old Choco boy, was about to come on for him.
It's a shame. But LA held on kind of fairly comfortably, really, even with the 10 men. I mean, it's not going to be the start Vanny wanted, and it's a big season. The Galaxy can't afford not to be in the playoffs again. Vanny can't afford not to be taking them to the playoffs. And this is just not a great start. 33 more games to go, though. And then the last game of the weekend, Seattle 2, Colorado 0 tonight. Now, Schmetzer has said that the battle for starting spots is fierce.
Yeah.
And you kind of saw that when you saw who was on the Sounders bench, because it was a stacked bench.
Yeah. Jordan Morris was there.
Paul Rothrock, who I think is fantastic. And if there was any way the Sounders would give him up, I'd have him here in a heartbeat.
Yeah, he's the man of the match.
He can get the start and then he's man of the match when he comes on. Because, and for as much as I hate the Sounders, I can't
Morris went off for him, right?
Yeah. I can't help but feel sorry for Jordan Morris. all the injuries that he's had went down 7 minutes into this one, and he knew it. He's banging the ground, and
Kirk had the game on while I was making dinner, and so I came out and I saw Jordan Morse sitting on the bench, and I was like, Jordan Morse is not playing? What's going on? Sorry, I missed that he was subbed in for Rothrock because he just was like took the game by the scruff of the neck. Like the way he created the first goal.
Rothrock was superb.
The effort to keep the ball in, pick out the open man.
He runs into the advertising board, but he just gets up and then
he bounces off
the ball.
Yeah. It was that's what you want from your players.
Yeah. Nice header home by Rusnak for the opening goal. And then the rest of the first half was kind of a performance that makes you think, I hope we don't get Malik Badawi as referee at BC Place or any Whitecaps game anytime soon.
It was horrible. That goal that was called back is, I cannot understand how you call a foul on any of that play.
Dotson has the ball in the net. Nice finish from the rebound.
Rebound, yeah.
And it's reviewed, and you watch the replay, and you go, I don't see anything wrong with that.
It looks like
it goes on for 4 minutes.
Yeah, it looks like the sounder is like shielding the ball that's coming over his shoulder.
Yeah, and
then he instead of taking it himself, he sees his onrushing teammate, allows him to take it. And so the only thing that I can think the foul he's calling is obstruction, but he hardly even obstructs the guy
But it doesn't help that the ref then calls the wrong guy's number.
Yes.
It had nothing to do with any incident, and everyone's like, I still don't know what's happened here then.
Well, to be fair, everyone's mind is often on Jesus, so.
But I've watched it several times. I think it's harsh, and that should have been 2-0.
I should say some people's minds are off.
Ferreira, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
For anyone that didn't get that. But then there's another 4-minute video review when Noah Cobb is shown a straight red for Colorado. And again, I'm watching this back going, how's that a red card? And Cobb knows it's not a red. Most folk watching it would be like, that's not a red. He doesn't leave the pitch in a timely manner that is going to see him get fined, even though it was then rescinded by video review and it was just a yellow.
Yeah, that's a stupid rule.
But then he comes away and the ref's like, a reckless challenge by Noah Cobb. Or
yellow card.
And because he says reckless challenge, you're thinking, well, he's going to hold up the red. Oh, a yellow card.
I understand there is this, it's kind of this natural motion of the arm swinging as he's coming down or turning or whatever. I see what he sees from the side, but when you watch the replay, you can tell there's like no intent. It's not
it's a contact situation as well. There's three players.
The contact is maybe minimal's to minimizing it too much, but it's not. Yeah, I don't know. It felt harsh.
Oh, it did. But then, like the Sounders, who had already used that early sub with Morris going off, then had to make another one. There was 16 minutes of first half stoppage time.
Yes, it was crazy.
In this game. It was meant to be 12, but it went on to 16 because Hassani Dotson had to go off with a concussion. Horrible head-to-head collision.
That was bad.
Oh, I watched it back and I was like, oh, that's really, really bad. Hope he's okay, because that looked a shocker. But yeah, the Sounders get a second in the 62nd minute. Rothrock. Colorado looked pretty poor.
Yeah, it's like they need to bring in James Cameron to save them from their sinking ship.
Well, I tell you, he couldn't do much worse than some of the other players that were out there.
No, hopefully he has another good year in the second team.
Sidney Mafuta as well is a player that we might see get some time as well.
Yeah, but yeah, Rothrock was really, really, really impressive in this game, and it should have been at least a 3-0 game for Seattle. Not the same, but similar to the Whitecaps. Like a workman-like performance is probably not the right way to put it, but like a quality performance to get the result that you need.
True. And some of the usual Sounders movement that we've seen in the past that makes you think, oh, they'll give the Whitecaps a bit of a tough test in the Champions Cup. That should be a good game. But by that time, the Whitecaps are starting to kind of flow a little bit. But I mean, that's our basic roundup of the MLS West. But the eagle, I was going to say eagle-eyed, the eagle listening listeners amongst you will notice that we've missed one Western team out because we're going to have a new section. Haven't necessarily got a musical introduction for this. I'll work on that.
Or a good name yet.
Yeah. But we're going to do, in the build-up to the World Cup, Dane Sinclair, Max Crepeau, Florida Man, maybe that'll be the name we go, comparison.
Yeah.
As we know, the fierce battle to be Canada's number one goalkeeper at the World Cup and beyond, but primarily focusing on the World Cup. Crazy that both players have made a move to Florida teams for this year to get ready for this World Cup. So Zach pitched this idea to me. I loved it. So we're going to do a kind of week by week look at how we feel that they're doing and who's maybe put themselves in the spotlight for it. Now, I feel Sinclair for me is my number one. You've got Max as your number one.
Yeah.
After this weekend's games, I've got Max as my number one.
Literally, I can tell you the time. So let's see. I sent you the message at 1:41 p.m. Mini segment on the MLS show, Max versus Dane. At 2:40 p.m., I got the text from Chadsky. DSC cannot be allowed to start the World Cup.
Yes. If you haven't watched the LAFC Miami highlights,
oh man!
First of all, watch it. 'Cause it's a good game, and it's nice to see Miami getting hammered.
Yeah.
But the MLS champs were certainly humbled in LA, and I think for many people, this could be the precursor to the actual MLS Cup final come December. Lot of football to be played before then. And if Miami put in performances like this one, it's not going to be Miami that's in it from the East. We've seen Miami come good when they need to.
Yeah, I don't know so much about Busquets in midfield. Sorry,
Busquets. None of the goals were that good.
Busquets with a B in midfield,
yes.
But I think this really showed how much Miami misses Jordi Alba. Right?
Oh yeah, an aging player that's best days were behind him, but was still fantastic.
Yeah,
was missing so much in this one.
And you can see why they thought, hey, we should go get the goalkeeper of the year, and we should do everything we can to get the defender of the year.
I was going to say, talking about teams shouldn't just focus on their attack. To be fair, they did try and focus on their defence as well.
But also, I don't know that if they had Blackman, he would have been able to save their overall horrible defending.
Oh, no. No. Not with the way that Sinclair played. 75,673 was the crowd at the Coliseum. Fantastic to see. Lovely setup as well. I like how the stadium looked.
Yeah.
I thought it was excellent. LA dominated the first half, but they only had a David Martinez goal to show for it in the 38th minute. Lovely finish from him. He almost got a second just after it. Miami did look much better in the second half, but then it felt like game over when Buanga made it 2-0 in the 73rd minute. Ordaz put the cherry on top in the 94th minute. 3-0 in the end. There was a little bit of a strop from Son when he got subbed off in the 87th minute, which I'm sure it'll get played down. And I think MDS just wanted him to get an ovation from the big crowd. I think that's why he took him off.
You say strop?
Strop.
I would not know what that word meant had I not seen the clip you're describing. Okay, strop.
That must be a UK word.
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, he threw a strop. He looked disgruntled as he was pulled off.
Very annoyed.
Yes. And I think MDS just wanted to give him an ovation.
Yeah.
But he obviously wanted to go the full 90. So I'm sure they'll iron that out. But
can we pause before? I actually haven't talked to you about this.
Oh, okay.
Before we go to the focus
to the goalkeeper, yes.
Yeah. Is there actually an MLS investigation into Messi going into the referee's locker room? No. That's all fake news? Or
Pro referees and MLS have both come out now and said that Messi did not go into the referee's area or an unrestricted area.
Okay.
The video shows him following the referee through a door, trying to get held back by Luis Suarez, of all people.
Was he just wanting to swap kits, or?
It's like, oh, didn't you ask for this? apparently that door didn't lead necessarily into the referee's restricted area.
Okay.
Or so they are saying.
Yeah. I don't know what he's mad at. Like,
I don't know. There was a couple of times that he was dared to be tackled and didn't get a free kick.
Yeah, and I'm surprised they didn't say to them, hey, maybe you should work on the accuracy of your shooting. Because it's not like he didn't have chances.
He didn't. No, he didn't have a good game. But yeah, that was all. I saw that this morning. I was going to put it in the rundown, and then it all came out. It wasn't anything. But yeah, let's get into the goalkeeping bit, which was what this was all about. So Dane Sinclair, making his Miami debut, he did not look great.
No.
Now, for the second LA goal, I've no idea why he was where he was.
Honestly, it feels like he's trying, or maybe he's been encouraged to improve his sweeper keeper abilities. And so he's playing high, or he's like, sees a ball coming. He's like, oh, maybe I can get that. And he comes out, but he ends up in no man's land. Like, he's in the worst possible place you can be, where it's just like he's just begging to be chipped or rounded.
Yeah. But what, 25 yards from goal? 20 to 25 yards.
Yeah, like. And to be fair, in a different situation in the first half, when Son rounded him at near the very the first 10, 15 minutes of the game, he did really, really well in that situation. But that was much closer to goal. Son took it, much wider and all that kind of stuff. This, you were just begging to be beaten, and he was.
Oh yeah. For the third goal, he's basically nutmegged. It's like he should have done better on that as well. He needed to be stronger.
Yeah. But the second one is the one that stands out the most.
I sent you a message saying, we talked about this as well when Sinclair signed. There is very little rope for him to play with there because the demand is so high.
Yeah.
And Messi demands high productivity from every single player on his team. If you're making mistakes, you're not going to be that starting goalkeeper.
No.
And you've just been bought for a lot of money. Well, free agent, but like salary-wise.
And he also, I forget if we learned out how much Spanish he actually speaks, but
yeah,
he also has the thing where he's potentially on the outside, right, of the team, of some of the inner workings of the team. We don't know how much Spanish he speaks, but yeah, you're right. It's like he has a short leash, I guess, is one way to put it.
Yes, that was the phrase I was trying to find when I was going on to you about rope.
Yeah.
There's a few Miami fans I would like to tie him up in a rope and just leave him tied to the goalpost at the Coliseum. He doesn't have a lot of wiggle room, and it's one game. Keepers have bad games. Every keeper is going to have a bad game at some point in a season. And for Dane, maybe this was it. And he's going to be lights out after it.
That's why we're going to check in on this.
Yes. Going back to the FOTMob ratings, he got a 4.6.
Oh, that's not out of 5 though, right?
I said no. Of all the players that played in MLS this weekend, only 3 were worse than him.
Oh, wow.
And they were all Montreal Impact players.
Well,
the Canadian connection is running big with the bad performances.
And let's switch over to a former Montreal Impact player.
Yes. So, we've looked at Dane. Orlando have their new keeper in Max Crepeau. They lost 2-1 at home to a very impressive and very young New York Red Bulls side. Michael Bradley, who won the MLS Next Pro title with Red Bulls 2, got rewarded with his first head coaching job in MLS. Bringing the spirit of youth with him. Amazing in this. This was a team that had 3 teenagers aged 17 and under playing and 7 players under the age of 23 going up against an Orlando side that had just 1 player under the age of 25.
Yeah. And that's like, it's a massive anomaly in MLS, right? Like some leagues you'll see this, or, clubs are going through more of a youth movement or have to rely on their academy more or whatever. But in MLS, that's a staggering number.
Yeah. And we've spoken for many years about the great job. Like, we don't like the Red Bulls organization, but there's certain things you have to acknowledge they've done great.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them is the New York Red Bulls Youth Academy.
And yeah, and it is I think I talked about this on the show after we read the Jesse Marsh thing, but it is one of those things where more and more I have a sort of a dichotomy of my view of them. On the one hand, I hate what they have done to clubs and destroyed their histories and all that kind of stuff, and some of the multi-club ownership stuff, but their actual approach to football, which has been developed by people like Ralph Rangnick or whatever, who I don't really like him, but he's done a good job for them, and how they play football and this developing young talent and stuff. The approach is alive and well in New York, and it feels like just as good, or maybe even ahead of where they thought it would be at, when they made the switch all those years ago.
I think Bradley, and again, I'm basing this on one game, some folk might say, but I'm basing it on what I've seen from him so far in charge of the twos and stuff as well. I think he's going to be a good coach. Mm-hmm. And he's not afraid to play youth. No. And I wish it was Red Bulls that were coming here instead of New York City, because I would have loved to have had a chance to chat to him about that.
Yeah, plus Marshall already rose with them.
Yeah.
And Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting.
2 first-half goals in this one from 17-year-old Julian Hall. The first of which was set up by 16-year-old Adrien Mehmeti.
Yeah, but who was the second set up by?
Forsberg.
Yeah, the one of the probably the oldest man on the pitch.
What's his name again? Forsberg.
Yeah, which again, he comes from the Leipzig setup, which helped him get there and whatever. But he was kind of that old spicy player in the team. Adding that flavor.
I like Forsberg.
Yeah.
Thiago got a 96-minute consolation for Orlando, but we're not here to talk about the game per se. But Max Crepeau gets to start for Orlando, was named their man of the match.
Absolutely.
Made 11 saves, got a 9.4 rating on FotMob, and was the best rating of any player in MLS this weekend.
That's more than double Dane.
Yes.
4.6 and 9.4. Wow.
That's a keeper on a losing team.
Yes.
Now, I would say I think he maybe should have done better on the second goal, but I'm just being maybe picky a little bit there. Julian Hall got a 9.03 rating as well for Red Bulls. But so, I mean, based on their initial performances, and again, we stress it's one game, and Jesse Marsh knows what he wants from his keepers, what he likes from his keepers. They're both going to get a game each, you would feel, in this March window. But Dane Sinclair, both for club and country, needs to find some form pretty quickly, or Max Crepeau, who came up with some really good saves as well, it should be mentioned, has a great chance of taking that starting jersey.
Yeah, for Marsh, it feels like Sinclair's the incumbent and Max has to unseat him. And early days, it looks like he has the potential to do exactly that.
So we'll keep doing that. I like this as a section. So that was the first week in MLS in the books. We're going to talk some more MLS and give some predictions and look ahead for what to expect for the season. And we'll be back with that after the second of our songs this episode, and the final one from our Artist of the Month for February, Sid Barrett.
Hi, I'm Tate Johnson, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Swanee got up at the running foot powwow, padded from the fire to his waiting canoe. Chattering squaw untied the wigwam door. The chief blew smoke rings 2 by 2. The land in silence stands. Swanley, his boat by the bank in the darkness, loosened the rope in the creepers entwined. A feather from the wing of a wild young eagle pointed to the land where his fortune he'd find. The land in silence stands. Swanley paddled on from the land of his fathers. His eyes scanned the undergrowth on either side. From the shore hung the hot, heavy creature infested. Tropic Swanley had a bow by his side. The land in silence stands.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's that sad time of the month. It's our final song that we're going to bring you this month from our Artist of the Month, Syd Barrett, the troubled genius that was so influential to Pink Floyd's early success before drugs-induced mental breakdown put him into basically a recluse in his later years. His solo stuff is what we've been focusing on this month, and that was one of the 8 previously unreleased tracks on his third album, Opal. That was Swan Lee, Silas Lang. A whimsical, narrative-driven folk song telling the story of an Indigenous character called Swan Lee on a journey, and it was said to be Syd Barrett's version of the tale of Hiawatha. And if you've enjoyed the Syd Barrett songs we've played you this month, go and check them out. I was going to end on one of his really more whimsical ones, The Effervescing Elephant. That's a fun one. Check that out on YouTube if you don't know that. But hope you've enjoyed it. We'll be back with a new Artist of the Month next month, and we'll be bringing you more up-to-date from the early 70s. So we're going to get back to the football chat now and talk a little bit more MLS, but in a wider sense, as we're going to do some quick predictions for the MLS season. So we had our good Western Conference preview with Fabian Renkel from Kickbase USA in the last episode. Also chatted a little bit about the season with Apple TV MLS commentator Keith Costigan. So we haven't really given our kind of thoughts on the season, where things are going to go. So we'll just do a quick fun one in this part, and you can let us know yours as well. So the first one, the big question, where do you think the Whitecaps will finish this season? Now, interestingly, the Whitecaps very much enjoyed pointing fingers at all the pundits that got their positioning wrong last year, including using some sound from me saying I wasn't confident for the year to come in the video that they put out. I loved it. I thought it was superb. Because they were right. I was wrong. I did have us making the playoffs, at least, in my general 8th to 11th finish. Where will they finish this year? You've just had your best ever year in MLS. How do you follow that up?
Yeah, that's the scary part.
Yeah. I see them as a top 4 team. Based, and I won't go into who I see above them right now, because we'll get to that in a sec. But I think I've got them finishing 3rd this year.
I was going to say top 4 as well. I don't like. It's difficult to see them dropping down to whatever 5th, 6th, 7th, something like that. It feels really hard. So yeah, top 4. I was thinking again, maybe 2 or 3.
I'd gone with 2nd for much of this year in my prediction, but there's a couple of teams I think might just have enough, because we've got this tough away stretch that comes up after the World Cup, actually before the World Cup and then after the World Cup. But as I keep banging on about, if we can get home points on the board early in these 9 home games, it's going to go huge to our final standings. There's still that chemistry to be got. I'll tie in now with 3 bold Whitecaps predictions. Now, it's important to say, when we say bold predictions, we don't just want run-of-the-mill predictions. Like, AZ Jackson's going to come in and have a good year, or Emmanuel Sabi's going to push on. That's just your normal predictions. I want bold predictions that seem maybe far-fetched in one regard, but also within the realms of reality, because we signed Thomas Muller. Anything's possible now. We were talking about this on Saturday, that if you link a player with the Whitecaps now, that A year ago, you'd be like, he's not coming to the Whitecaps. Now you're like, nah, I wouldn't see why he wouldn't come to the Whitecaps.
Well, you and I were joking about some context on this before, but
yes,
the Lewandowski thing, right?
Yeah.
Like without Thomas Muller, no one would believe it. But because Thomas is here, people are like, well, we should find if that has legs.
Well, yeah, like Chicago seems to be the place where he's going to go, but you can't rule out him being, hey, I'd like to play with my pal.
Yep.
And a lot can happen between now and the summer window. So three bold predictions. You can go first. I'll chip in if any of mine are the same.
Okay. So my first one is, this is maybe the least bold sounding one. I'm going to say Thomas Muller will get 15 to 20 assists in the
Oh, I think that's quite bold.
Okay, good. Oh, we're on a good track. How many assists do you think he would get? I'm talking about in MLS.
Just in MLS. I mean, if he hits double digits, 10 to 12, I'd be happy with.
Okay, cool.
Of course, you've got the second assist in the league, which could get that number up.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I'm trying to think if Bundesliga has any second assists or not.
I can't remember. I read so many previews this week from various things. Folk were talking about like Sonny having like 50 to 60 goal contributions this season, and I'm like,
that's crazy.
I think you're stretching. He's good, but that is phenomenal if you get that in a year.
Yeah. Okay, so my one that is at least partially negative, but it's very bold. The Whitecaps will not lift one of or both the Cascadia Cup and the Voyageurs Cup. But to put the good spin on it, it might see it, despite not doing one or both of those, I think that they might then lift either the Supporter Shield or the MLS Cup. Probably not the CCC.
Well, I'll chip in with one of mine then, which is I think they will win the Canadian Championship, but I think they will also lift another trophy, and I think it's going to be the Leagues Cup.
Oh, I forgot about that one. I totally forgot about that.
This is a team that will take it seriously and has the ability to win it.
Yeah, the league. Yeah, I reminded a bunch in this off season about them wanting to participate in the competition being tied to the bonuses that the players get.
Yes. So they might just run out some.
No, but the players might have motivation.
Yeah.
Because I think it's not just playing it. I think if you do well.
The further you go, you'll get bigger bonuses.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the club also get a lot of money. And you're qualified for, if you win it, like Seattle, you get a bye into the round of 16.
Yeah. You get a bye to
and home advantage and
Spokane.
Yeah. Yeah, what a reward that is for the Sounders players.
Okay, and then my last one is actually, this might be the least bold, based on your reactions to others. I'm going to say the Whitecaps will have the best home record in MLS. So I think they're going to get off to a flying start at home. And then when they return with a bunch of home games later in the year, they're going to have missed it so much that they're, again, going to excel at home. And it's going to be like the best home record.
No, I think that's now, to say best in the league at anything's a bold prediction.
Now watch it be the opposite, or like.
Well, let me throw in the second of mine, which is, I think the Whitecaps will win 9 and draw 1 of their first 10 games.
Oh wow!
And I don't know if the draw comes at home or if it's down in Portland, but either way, I see us getting off to an absolute cracking start at home.
The AFTN audience, some of them might be thinking, "What have the two of you been consuming?"
Yeah, I don't know what was in those chicken strips, or you didn't have any.
I had salad.
You had salad.
Salad,
of your diet.
Salad, tea, and hot water.
See, we're not costing the club money. That's another step. Zach's not eating what he could be eating. Step 4. Right, so you've had 2 of my bold predictions that we'll win the Leagues Cup.
What's your third?
Well, tying in with something that I've already kind of mentioned, I think they will add a name player after the World Cup. Now, I'm not saying it's Lewandowski.
No.
I think there's going to be a player with name recognition, big name recognition, maybe a Canadian international, maybe an American international. But I think maybe a player that we've seen at the World Cup is going to get added to the Whitecaps.
That's a good one. I didn't want to say something like that just because I didn't want to sound like, ooh, they have to, I've harped on about that in previous years. So I do want I think that's a really good prediction. When you have a player like Thomas Muller, he's ambitious. He's not here just to get paid or just for the experience. So he's talked about how meaningful and important the experience is to him. But when he's talking about that, he's partly talking about winning.
Yeah. And
to do that, it can be easier to do that if you have more high quality players. And so, yeah, I could totally see them. Again, it doesn't have to be a Luva, but someone who will help them in many ways.
Thomas Muller's spoken already this year about with all the competitions, the focus is on the Champions Cup in this first part of the season. He wants to lift that.
Oh, absolutely.
And he's focused on that. It was interesting as well in the media day on Friday, where Berhalter was asked, of all the competitions that you're in this year, what's the big one for you?
And he was MLS Cup.
He was MLS Cup. And to hear an American kid, and I know he's not a kid, but to hear an American kid growing up and saying, I've grown up this, and obviously it helps because his family's US soccer through and through.
Yeah.
But like just the thought that you've got Canadian kids, American kids thinking, I want to lift the MLS Cup one day for my team. That is how you grow the game in North America.
Yeah.
That it's not just bringing in big players. It's having the young guys that's proud to play in their domestic league and win and lift that trophy. And that's what you're striving for at one point in your career. And then you move on to bigger, better things. So I thought that was interesting. But Thomas definitely wants, in this first part of the year, the focus for him. League points are nice. I'm paraphrasing a bit, but league points are nice. But what you really want is to lift a trophy. And the trophy that is at stake in this first half of the year is the Champions Cup. But yeah, after the World Cup, look at the lie of the land, where things are standing. You've got 2 months to think what you need for the push post-World Cup. So I think there could be a big addition that comes in. Now, might tie in with a big departure, like a Berhalter moves on, if he has a great World Cup. But yeah, that was our bold predictions. Let us know some of yours, good or bad, for the year. I wanted to be positive this year because I'm not feeling totally positive about the team right now, because I do see where there's the room for it all to come together. But I do appreciate we're in February. So, the top four in the West. So last year, as we know, the Whitecaps should have been first, but it didn't quite work out that way. We finished second. San Diego won the West in the regular season, with the Whitecaps lifting the honours in the championship game. LAFC were third, 3 points behind the top two, with Minnesota fourth on 58 points. First question for you. How many of the top four from last year do you see as the top four this year?
2.
Oh, I have 3. Interesting.
Yeah, I know obviously they've gotten off to a great start, but I don't know about San Diego.
See, I've got them second. I had the Whitecaps second until I saw that Pumas game. And I was like, oh no, I think San Diego's going to be good. Yeah. And then I watched the game against Montreal, and it's like, yeah.
I don't know long term. I'll probably be wrong on that one, but yeah.
I've got LAFC first, as I imagine you have as well. I think nearly everybody has. There's been a couple that haven't. It is so hard to see beyond them. I mean, a bold prediction, which we'll get to in a sec, for MLS is they could set a points record if they really play to their strengths.
Yeah. Incredible team, incredible coach.
The thing is, when it gets to playoff time, you're going to be in a one-off game, so anything can happen at that point.
True.
So it doesn't necessarily mean they're a shoo-in to make it through, but I think they're going to have a great year. I do think this is a big test for Mark DeSantis.
Yes.
Because we saw how he did here, but you also look at the players that he had here compared to the players that he's got there.
That's apples
How
and
much
oranges.
of that was on him? How much did he build that team and bring those players in?
No.
And then what constraints was he working with? So it's all those things.
Yeah, but Michael, you kind of said it there, right? When you're going shopping list and you have budget X versus budget Y.
Yeah, are you going to Lidl or are you going to Waitrose, as we would say in the UK?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that really meaningful metaphor for most of our people.
Are you going to No Frills or are you going to Whole Foods?
Oh, there you go.
There's very Vancouver centric.
Yeah.
Get with the UK references, Zach.
Yeah, I'm trying to get with it.
I talked to Caitlin about them and she doesn't get them half the time either. I still use words that Caitlin doesn't understand after 25 years together.
It's very helpful in marriage.
Yeah.
Speak different languages.
When I say my wife doesn't understand me, I literally mean that.
Okay, so who else? We both have LAFC.
LAFC
We both
first
have
for me. I've got San Diego second, Whitecaps third.
I'm going to go LAFC first. I'm going to go Seattle second. I'm going to go Whitecaps third. And my fourth, I think, also answers one of the other questions you wanted to discuss.
I know who you're going with then.
Yeah. And again, might be crazy wrong, but I'm going to put Houston there.
I have Houston fifth.
Okay.
I have Sounders fourth.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sounders is an interesting one because some key pieces have departed for them.
Yes.
And it's like, can they get the best out of who they've got? They've always got the ability to go out and bring new players in. They haven't added a lot, but I mean, you see like Hassani Dotson's going to be a big impact and they got him as a free agent. But you look at like João Paulo's gone, Daniel Leva's gone, Obed Vargas is gone, Reed Baker-Whiting's gone, John Bell was out of contract, Ryan Kent, who I wasn't a big fan of anyway, is gone. So they've lost players that did have big contributions last year.
Where did Vargas go?
He's been transferred to Atletico Madrid.
That's right. I'm surprised Messi didn't stop that.
Yes, he was never going to play for Argentina, though. But I think they'll be good, but I think they'll be a fluctuating team as well. But I can see them being top four because they always seem to know how to get the job done.
Yeah.
So I'd ask for who your dark horse in the West is, and I think we both agree on this then.
Yeah.
It's Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that firepower they have will seem to score lots of goals.
So the dark horse as well, I was kind of looking at what teams might make the biggest jump up the table. And again, you look at Houston, they were 12th last year, 37 points, and you've got them fourth, I've got them fifth. That's a big jump no matter what. Bagouche is a great addition for them. On the very small sample size of Guilherme, he looks awesome. The two of them together is going to be good. There's been a big turnaround of players. 21 players are listed as moving on from the Dynamo.
Yeah.
But I also think, and like Fabian Renkel touched on this when we did our kind of Western preview as well, it's a big year for Ben Olsen, and it's a big year for Pat Onstad. I think both are in their final years of their contracts, so they need to have a good year, and I think they will. If we're looking at the opposite, I posed you the question, what team do you think might drop the most? And I don't know that there's any that's going to drop massively.
Well, I have two. I think it's between two in terms of biggest drops. I think it could be San Diego. Like I told you, they're dropping out of the top four for me. But along with that, it could be Minnesota. And it's not because obviously I don't love Michael Boxall or the loss of Tanny or whatever. I still I don't know about this James Rodriguez. I don't see it. I don't see it going well. I don't see it ending well. I might be dead wrong on that. I don't think he's going to like playing in the cold. Like there's all these things that I don't see them. I don't see it. I don't see the fit. And it feels like a marketing PR hopeful, home run. But
yeah, it seems so random as well.
Yeah.
You heard Thomas talking about like the travel.
Yeah.
And this is somebody that's embraced the league and just seems to love life. And he's like, yeah, this travels. It's a thing. And now Minnesota's a bit better because of where they're based. It's going to be some shorter flights. But that's an eye-opening experience for him. The cold, as you mentioned as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see them dropping. I think they're still a good team. I think they're still a playoff team for me. I think they've still got a lot of good pieces there. They've got to be better defensively. Have they got the goals in them? Because they weren't the same after letting Tanny go last year.
Another team. Sorry, I didn't mention this for dark horse. I don't think it's hard to call them a dark horse because of who they are in their history. And you referenced this when we were going through the rundown, but I just hope for Marco Royce and Greg Vanney that the Galaxy are much more competitive this year on the whole. And obviously, we talked, I think, in the offseason about the massive, tragic re-injuring of Ricky Puig for them and how difficult that is. But they're also a club where you feel like any day they could just, we're adding another massive player, and it's going to totally change things for them. But
the Puig injury is heartbreaking for the lad.
I can't see them being finishing on less than a point per game again.
I think they'll be better. I just don't see them as playoff right now.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you think Sporting Kansas City will maybe put a master hold on the bottom of the table?
Oh, very much so. And we'll come to that with one of the other things in a second. I think they're going to stink this year. Dallas, I don't know about. I could see them having one of the biggest falls. They were 7th last year, 44 points. I don't have them as a playoff team. And it's how far they maybe drop. Colorado were 11th, so they were quite low anyway. But on the basis of just, again, one game, but last year and everything as well, I could see them potentially even being second bottom. So that would be a drop of like 3 spots for them. I don't see anyone dropping massively, but I could see Dallas maybe being the biggest drop. RSL, I don't know. They were 9th. I don't know that they're a playoff team. You look at the teams that didn't make the playoffs last year. San Jose, Colorado, Houston, St. Louis, LA Galaxy, and Kansas City. And I think Houston's a standout team that gets in there. But I don't know that any of the other ones are.
I think the Galaxy could, but yeah. I see the...
Yeah, so I mean, if Houston and Galaxy did, who drops out? And you're maybe looking at Dallas and RSL.
Potentially.
A lot of folk are high in Austin. And they did start good last year, and then we destroyed them, and then they were never the same since.
True.
But they've made some good additions. I think Jaden will thrive there.
Yeah.
And I don't like him as a person after the incident, the racial incident with Sabi, but Rosales is a decent addition from Minnesota for them. Facundo Torres is a good addition for them as well.
Yes.
So we'll kind of see how that works out for them. MLS final prediction. Everyone underdog seems to be going for LAFC Miami, which is the easy pick. Do you see that? Do you see something different?
No, I hope not. I hope it's no. I think it'll be LAFC from the West, but I don't think Miami. Miami, like we talk about the Galaxy, they could add 3 players that are, world-class players in the middle.
None of them designated players.
Yeah, exactly. All on 100 grand a year. So ridiculous. So you never, I guess with them, I would say never say never. But
I think it's hard to see past them when it gets to a playoff stage, just because single games and the mentality.
True. Yeah, that's valid. Yeah, I'm trying to think from the West.
Nashville, if Sturridge can get on a tear, everything could come down to seeding in the end for playoff time.
Yeah,
that can be massive.
Like there's different teams who I think have improved well, or potentially improved, or just have quality sides. I know they lost to Portland, but I think Columbus is still a good, solid, like 3 to 6 kind of team that could make a run in the playoffs.
I think there's a lot more strength in the East.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. I know who my one. So I'm going with a favored team in LAFC over the West, and my kind of sort of like unfavored, like, MLS wouldn't be probably super excited. I think it's Cincinnati. Although Evander just went off injured yesterday, right?
Yes.
So if Evander is fine and Denke, if he just maintains his form, he is such a beast in this league. They're a formidable side.
I'm going to go away from the question I posed you. Western Conference final will be LAFC Whitecaps.
Nice. Tim Ford officiating, or?
Oh, yeah. At LAFC with his whole family as the officiating team.
Yeah. Oh.
His wife there on the line.
His daughter taking abuse from the away supporters. Yeah. She calls offside on a crucial goal.
You're not fit to referee. And I'm going to say, my head says Nashville, Miami in the East. My heart is like, go on, young guns at Red Bulls.
Yes. I have a Red Bull thing coming later. But that probably feels like too much, but you never know.
Yeah. I don't like Red Bulls, but just that whole story of such a young team.
But the thing is, with their youngness and their, coach who won with the second team and all that, who's a legend of the game in the States and has won MLS Cup and all this kind of stuff. The son of the coach, and you have the Emil Forsbergs, you have Eric Maxime Chouameni, you have these really, really solid, experienced pros there that can put them over the top, that can get the best out of those young players.
And look at the Whitecaps. We were a young team last year, and it was the older, experienced guys sprinkled in as well. And some folk might say, it's a long season, the young players will tire. Remember, this is a 2-month break. It's almost like we've got a clausura apertura.
Yeah.
And 2-month break allows these guys to rejuvenate.
Yes.
So
if they're not at the World Cup.
Yes. Yeah. Fun couple of things to end. Fun for us, not for them. Managerial sack race. I always enjoy doing that. Which manager do you think will go first in MLS this year?
Oh, I mean, you have situations like Marco Donadell, where you wonder how much he maybe knows he has, like, the confidence of Joey Saputo because of his connection to the club. And so not that he doesn't have pressure and they aren't trying to win or improve their situation or get the best out of the current players and maybe add to it or whatever, or bring through better young players or whatever it is. As much as you might see him as someone, obviously based on the first game and based on how they did last year, who might lead that line, I kind of think he feels like it's either like he's safe because of that connection to the club, having been there and stuff, or he's just too, like, odds on favor, too easy to,
Yeah. I think he's safe unless they have an absolute shocker.
Yeah.
And they crash out of the Canadian Championship. And
see, I think I'm more likely to say it's Robin Fraser.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think if TFC in their first 10 games have a shocking start, Fraser's gone. For me, it was between Fraser and Neville. And I think Neville will get enough out of his team to at least see him through to the World Cup break.
Yeah, I agree.
If Fraser, with that money that's spent and who they've brought in, he has to get winning. If not, the pressure will be on from the fans. What media is left out there will turn the heat up. And you can't spend all that money and have a bad start.
Do you also have Greg Vanney on your list?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you might.
I don't know. I think they need to have a horrific start for him to go early.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I could see Donadell, Fraser, Neville, and Vanney all not being in charge by the end of the season. But for the first one to go, I think it'll be Robin Fraser.
Yeah, okay, let's agree on that one.
Okay. And we'll finish with 3 bold general MLS predictions. I'll go first this time. I'll do one, you do one. Sporting Kansas City will have an all-time record low points total for a 34-game season, which is currently held by DC United in 2013 with 16 points.
No one pays attention to those kind of records.
I do.
I know, I'm joking. Okay, mine. This is not probably that bold, and it's not based on the first match day, but it's more the history and the situation. I'm going to say Michael Bradley is a candidate for Coach of the Year.
Oh, yeah, I like that one. I don't like Michael Bradley, but I like that one. Play for TFC and America. What is there to like?
There you go.
He won't win haircut of the year, I'll tell you that now. Oh, unless he goes to Turkey. Anyway, Sam Sturridge will win the Golden Boot.
Oh, are you? No. Okay. I was gonna say that about Denke, but I don't know if that's bold. But
I think you were going with Son. That's not bold, though. Denke's bold.
I think he has it in him.
Maybe Sturridge isn't a bold choice, actually, because he was close last year.
I don't know.
I think everyone's looking at like Messi, Buanga, Son, and Sturridge is kind of just forgotten about.
The thing about a full season for Son is the crazy 50, whatever you were talking about with goal contribution, seems more realistic for me to him because I think he is going to set up guys like Buanga so much. And
he's got one already ticked off.
Yeah. But did he also set up a goal in the game for the kid? Morales, the first goal. Would he set it up? I can't remember. He set
one up. I can't remember which one.
Oh, actually, I'm confusing. I'm thinking of when he set up Buanga in the CCC in the midweek. But yeah, that doesn't seem. Yeah, so I'm gonna go Denke for Golden Boot. That's my second. That's my second.
Okay, my last one. And if this happens, I'm sure some folk will say that I've brought this to happen, and I'll get lots of hate mail. Messi will get a serious injury before the World Cup, miss the World Cup, and Inter will struggle as a result.
Wow. I was thinking about a Messi-related one, but it was more like he will get a suspension. That'll be like he'll freak out, or he'll like this referee's locker room thing, or whatever. He'll do something that you can't do, and instead of getting 10 games, he'll get like 3 games or something.
That's
like
very
that.
believable.
But no, that's a yeah. Could you imagine? Yeah.
CONCACAF Champions Cup semi-final first leg at Thunderbird Stadium. And we're not laughing about an injury to one of the world's best players, but I don't know. He wants to play every game that he wants to play. And there's games, obviously, he knows he won't play. But it's like the tackles will start flying in. I think the protection maybe isn't there as much as it was when he first came to the league. And God help the player that would do. If it was an injury from a tackle, like we spoke about abuse, that player, it's like, would need a lot of help to get through that. Because
it was a Maritimes boy, right? Who
Schaffelberg.
Yeah, the Schaff. Yeah, which was ridiculous.
He got so much abuse.
Ridiculous.
So I mean, maybe it's just a twinge, maybe it's a tweak, but I don't know.
He's not going to miss it for a tinge or a tweak. He'll be in the squad. He'll make an appearance. It's going to take like a torn muscle or a fracture or.
He was having all those hamstring issues. He was just not recovering from.
But
But
you
he
got to
is
remember the last World Cup, he walked 80%
Oh,
of it.
yes,
So if he's got a tinge or a tweak, he's going to out there walk around and then do a little sprint here, a little sprint there, and it won't be that big a deal. My last one's not I forgot to look up who they put in which competition for this one, but I feel like because this has sort of happened before, but like let's say bottom 3 MLS side is going to win the U.S. Open Cup, and it's going to mean the world to their fans, and it's going to feel like they won the MLS Cup.
Hey, if I'm supporting Kansas City right now,
Yeah,
I put all my eggs in that basket.
That was one of the teams that I was thinking of for sure. Yeah.
Imagine if Montreal end up winning the Canadian Championship.
And as I say that, I realize that that's not necessarily an MLS-centric prediction.
Oh, no, I'll take that. It's an MLS team.
There you go.
Let us know your bold predictions. Let's not try and manifest any of them necessarily, but let us know your bold predictions, good or bad, for MLS, for the Whitecaps, anything else we've talked about there. We've got one more part to come. We're going to go back talking Whitecaps news of the week, because apart from the games, there's been some big news to chat about, and we'll be back with that after this week's song from the iconic Enemy C86 cassette. And I'm playing this one in full. It's a 2.5-minute song, because it's one of my favourites on the whole cassette.
Hi, I'm Jesper Sorensen, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part is this episode song from Enemy's iconic C86 cassette. We are paying tribute to 40 years of that influential release, a mail order cassette that you could order from the New Musical Express, the UK's top music magazine, released in May 1986. If this is the first show that you've maybe listened to this year, we're playing all 22 tracks from the cassette in order in our first 22 shows, And then for the rest of the year, we'll be playing songs by bands that featured on it, bands that's thought of as part of the C86 genre. But that was track 9 you heard kicking off this part. A Witness is the name of the band. Sharpened Sticks is the track. And A Witness were a post-punk indie band from Stockport in England, originally around from 1982 to 1989. They stopped following the tragic death of their guitarist Rick Aitken in a climbing accident in Scotland in 1989. They reformed in 2013 to mark the 25th anniversary of Aitken's death, and they kind of still kept together. They play some sporadic gigs with a new lineup. Don't seem to have played many gigs for a while though, so I don't know if they have maybe called it a day again. During their recording period in the 80s, they released 4 EPs in total, 1 album, 1986's I Am John's Pancreas, and that album featured the song you heard there, Sharpened Sticks. And we'll be back with track 10 from the C86 in next week's show, and it's one of my favourites from the whole cassette. So back to the football chat now for the final part. We're going to talk Whitecaps and lots of off-the-pitch news. Quick stuff with players, I guess, to start with. So Sheikh Sabali has got his work visa sorted, and Axel said it's the quickest they've got it done. It was done in record time. He flew in on Friday, joined up with the team, so they'll have to kind of look at him, do medical stuff, make sure everything's good. He'll be integrated in the team. I don't know how quick we'll see him on the pitch. He was playing for Mets as recently as early December, made a couple of sub-appearances at AFCON with Senegal, so you've got to feel his levels are up there. Maybe if Wednesday night goes well, and you've got a couple of goals to the good and he's on the bench, you maybe give him a 10-minute run out at the end.
Was he put on the roster? I know you can go up to 48 hours before the match.
I don't know if he was on yet, but they can add him this week. He probably wasn't added yet because they hadn't got his work permit through.
Right.
Bruno Caicedo's still working on his work permit. Like Axel or Jesper, I can't remember which one, made the point, look, he's a young lad, he's coming to a new country, to a new league, new surroundings in general. You've got to give him time to settle in and get integrated. You can't just expect him to come in and immediately be on the pitch and have an impact. So it might be a good few weeks before we really see him. Yeah, exciting to see what we get from him. Sabali we'll definitely see sooner rather than later. And I think he's a guy, we're probably going to see him backup striker with Illumi. Nelson Pierre, I think we'll find will get moved on out on loan. I think the fact he wasn't in the game day roster yesterday, hasn't been put on the CONCACAF squad. If he doesn't go out on loan, I'll kind of be surprised at that. Where he goes, of course, Europe, USL, CPL maybe. He needs to go somewhere to get regular minutes and to really develop, I think, his football IQ.
I would love to see him in the CPL because I think with his profile, with his qualities, I think he has the opportunity to go and really build his confidence by being a dominant player. The other options that you mentioned there will present different challenges.
Yeah. I mean, as an American, playing in the USL is obviously the easy option.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. But like you said, the dude's got to play. And by all the signs are pointing to a year on loan somewhere.
Which, as much as I want to have him here, if he's not going to be featuring, I want him to go because I really like him as a person. I really like him as a player. And there's elements of his game he needs to work on. And I think football IQ is one of them. It's maybe a little spell over in Europe. Scandinavia seems like a prime place for a lot of these players. Help him with that.
The only problem with, the only challenge with that, and it's not necessarily a bad challenge, is is he going to go to a place where the winning of his spot or the earning of his minutes is such a difficult challenge that it prohibits his development. And that's why, whether it's CPL or potentially USL, a place where he is maybe not guaranteed starter or whatever, but where it's more likely that he would be able to more quickly earn his role as a starter, I think would be better for him in the moments in his career. I get that it might be less sexy or desirable or maybe not even as good an option financially for the club or him even potentially, I guess. But it feels like he's in a moment in his career, like so many young players, where you maybe have to think more about getting yourself to the place you want to be to make the breakthrough at your parent club and what allows you the best opportunity to do that, not simply what's the best or coolest or most adventurous place I can go to around the world at this moment. Is that
No,
fair?
yeah, that's fair. And he needs to go, he needs to do well and just learn and develop and then come back and hopefully... I mean, the Whitecaps made a play for his homegrown rights and to have him here, so they clearly value him. And if he's not going to get the minutes here, he has to go somewhere to get them. So we'll see how that plays out. Expect the WFC2 head coach to get announced this week as well. They didn't want to announce it ahead of the MLS season. And to take the shine away from the other big coaching news, Jesper has been extended. Not in a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory way where they stretched the kid.
For me, this is another positive sign in where the Whitecaps are as a club. Mm-hmm. I feel like, again, this is tied to Axel's stewardship of things, where we all would agree this is a result-based business. You're seeing, and I know it's also tied to the fact that he only had Axel went into this a lot about how he came in with only a 2-year contract, with much extension would probably have to likely happen early. The fact that you're seeing achievements rewarded in, if I can put it this way, a more timely fashion than maybe they have in the past or in earlier years in the MLS era, I think is a very...
They also didn't want any distractions. Because Har's going to constantly ask at some point during the year, what's happening with his contract?
Oh, totally. And I think, it's the early rewardment. It's the avoid the distraction. It's being... just in general, being proactive as opposed to like, oh no, there's 6 months left, we got to get this done. I think it's a sign of, if you will, health at the club that this has happened now. And the question I really kind of want to ask Jesper to that end is, how meaningful does he feel it is for the club as a whole that this is this is the approach in this season of the club in terms of bringing in players and staff and just continuing to build on what they already have.
Well, a lot of fans had noted that it felt such a positive step because of all, and this is what I asked, all the off-field stuff of, is the team going to leave the city? Well, look, it's like, we've committed to this coach, so we're showing you we're making long-term plans.
Yeah. And I said that to you right away, and you're like, not necessarily.
Yeah, but I've thought, like, if Jesper had another good season, say he wins the Champions Cup, if Denmark don't qualify for the World Cup, there could be a coaching job there. He's already been in charge of the U21s with Denmark. If he had such a good time and spell over here, he could be a contender for the Danish head coaching job. So this at least means that if that was to be the case, the Whitecaps would also get compensation. But I was kind of surprised in one way because, like, Jesper spoke to me about how tough it had been being away from the family, and it's the first time he's been away for that long, and it's a lot to commit to being on the other side of the world from your family.
Well, I remember that when it first got announced and listening to him talk, but are they, now that he's here longer or whatever, any of them gonna...
I don't know, because they were waiting for his kid to kind of get through high school and not disrupt that. So Jesper extending to the end of the 27-28 season. So it's the short season and then the full new season. It's great stability for the club. We're now... in the Sorensen era, he can build the team, shape the team around how he wants it, his identity. It's all fantastic stuff. And it shows just the commitment that Axel has to it. So this was fantastic news Wasn't expecting it so early, but
Mhm.
I just think it's great to have it now done.
Absolutely.
Now, last little bit we'll talk about is a little bit of stadium stuff.
Everyone's
So,
favorite topic.
yeah. So Surrey are wanting to put in, or they have made their intentions known, that they want to build the new Canada Soccer National Training Centre that was put out for tender or submissions of interest. And folk might be like, but we've already got a national training centre here. Yes, we do. But they are wanting to build another one. And Woodbine in Ontario was, everyone was thinking, was the favoured place it was going to be. But that seems to have fallen by the wayside now. And other places in the country are able to bid for it. Now, the feeling is it'll probably still go to Ontario, but Surrey have said they feel it's a natural fit. They want to build an arena that's been known for a while. They're open to building a stadium, this kind of centre as well. And the mayor, Brenda Locke, who I'm not a huge fan of, mainly because when I look at her, I feel she looks like a ventriloquist's dummy, just with how her mouth is. If anyone's seen her, you might know what I'm talking about, or if you know about vintage ventriloquist dummies. But she was asked on CBC Radio about it. She said, as people know, we're looking to build our own arena, but we're also looking to build another large sports venue. We totally think it's a great fit. So she was then asked about building a stadium big enough to accommodate an MLS team. And she said, we're always having those conversations. They're super expensive venues to build. As much as we would like to build in Surrey, we have over $1 billion in capital infrastructure on our books that we're building right now. That would be a great one for the city, and I know it would be welcome. So she was then pushed, are you not talking to the Whitecaps? And she said, we'll talk to anyone that wants to. So the Whitecaps haven't officially commented on it, but basically the Whitecaps' view is we're focused on Vancouver, we're focused on MOU at Hastings, and that's where everything is right now. Surely, though, it could make sense to even build a temporary stadium out in Surrey. Get you away from BC Place until Hastings gets done.
Yeah, I mean, having a Tempire there or like a modular stadium there could be interesting. I mean, we're in 2026, almost 9 years ago when I first began to have conversations with Rob Friend about what he was hoping to do in terms of the Canadian Premier League in the Lower Mainland. And in the years that followed that, we all came to know and understand that they searched and had discussions with, I think, literally every municipality but one. I'm not sure what that one was, maybe Vancouver itself.
Yeah, probably. Or New West, since they weren't after everything that happened with the Whitecaps there.
That's true. But Surrey was absolutely a part of that. Mm-hmm. And I know it was a different time. It was a different mayor, I believe. I'm not up on my Surrey politics.
Oh, yeah. That mayor had also talked about a 50 or an 80,000 stadium to get built in Surrey, which was like total pie in the sky stuff.
Yeah, which was not what the obviously the CPL conversations were. But so yeah, this is something that has been on a part of the discussion in Surrey for a long time under different leadership. So for me, it's hard not to hear these comments and ask or feel like this is all just about winning political points or it's political posturing kind of thing. It's almost like I wouldn't put too much stock into it until it's almost like there's a shovel in the ground. In the same way with the racing, with the race course one situation, you know, MOUs are great, but yeah, it's like, okay, when is the shovel going in the ground? Or when are the plans approved, or those kind of.
I mean, it's still such a long way away.
Yeah, so
because then even if they have parties involved, it's then got to go back to council for vote and planning permission and everything.
Exactly. So is that an option, or could that be an option or play a role in some part of the future of the Whitecaps in the Lower Mainland? Sure, I guess. Yeah, is it ideal? Obviously, for so many people, even if it was Surrey and was close to SkyTrain, that would be difficult, I think, for a number of people who live, in Vancouver, around Vancouver, to.
Well, the Whitecaps know that the bulk of their season ticket base, they know where they're from, and it's close to the stadium. It's that other side of the bridge.
Yeah.
It's in downtown Vancouver and the surrounding areas, with some obviously from afar.
Yeah. So I don't think it was definitely never going to be their first choice. It would be interesting if it became like their only choice and they said, okay, we got to do this, and to see how that would be received and how that would go. Or even like you said, even if it was like on a temporary basis, they're like, hey, this is where we
temporary basis, even with the Lions, and then the Lions have it as a permanent basis after that.
Yeah, but hard for me to take it serious until it actually is something more than comments that just seem to tailor to winning political points.
Yeah, I don't think it's a goer, but if it could be an option, if they need to have a temporary solution, yeah, go for it. And folk were excited by the SkyTrain aspect and the transit aspect. It is certainly easier to get there than up to Hastings. But long term, no, I wouldn't want to see that either. On the stadium thing, last thing we'll talk about, Don Garber, who was pretty quiet in the build-up to the new MLS season, it has to be said, didn't do a chat with media, did some media rounds, and he spoke to sportsbusinessjournal.com. And it was an interesting chat all round, actually, from him, talking about World Cup, media rights, succession planning, clubs being for sale. The Earthquakes and the Whitecaps are two of the teams that are up for sale at the moment. So check that out on sportsbusinessjournal.com. But on the Whitecaps part of it, he was asked about the club being up for sale, and he says, as it relates to Vancouver, there remains a really large gap between what the club deserves and the current scheduling and economic dynamic that we have at BC Place. It's untenable, as I've said before, for a major league club to not be able to play home games in their market for what could be several dates this year. The team has done everything they can to invest in a club that fans can be proud of, and I'm not quite sure we've been seeing the same level of public support for the club that exists for other teams in the market or other MLS clubs. So we'll continue to support the club as they pursue a solution in Vancouver, and this is the interesting bit. But meaningful progress has to be made on a long-term stadium solution, and timing is of the essence. So I was wanting to ask Axel about this on Friday, but we were told if we start the questions with the kind of on-pitch stuff, and then we'll circle back and we'll speak about the off-field business stuff. But then we'd spent so much in the first bit, and then Thomas Muller was waiting to come in. We never got to the off-field bit. So next time we do get a chat with Axel, I will ask him about this. And he's been asked before and said no. But it sounds like the league is putting a deadline on this.
Again, how much of this is posturing, right, in terms of keeping up the pressure on the situation to get resolved, and how much of it is some form of legitimate deadline that, could see more drastic measures, brought in or take place. It's hard. Honestly, it's hard to tell.
I know. And he was kind of asked about like the public standoffs in a follow-up question. And he said, it's just about revenue. Again, touched on the fact that the key to this, and the real difference maker, is getting the corporate money in. Whether it's stadium sponsorship, pitch sponsorship, general buying of season tickets for corporate parties, investment, corporate nights, suites, all that kind of stuff is what they're needing. They need that corporate money. He mentioned the fact that we knew about CONCACAF Champions Cup and Leagues Cup games and Canadian Championship games will not be able to be played at BC Place. But he also said conceivably that playoff games might not be this year either.
Yeah, but doesn't that sort of feel based on last year or previous experience?
I don't know.
Or potential, more like potential, like looking ahead, because you don't know where the Whitecaps are going to finish. You don't know what dates they're actually going to need.
Yeah.
It's hard.
But he says it's not posturing and it's not about leveraging things, but It's hard to
but
feel
it
it's
is
not, yeah. And from both sides.
Yeah.
And that's why they've gone public. But
Just
there's
one
no
thing.
other updates, incidentally, on the stadium, new or old, or the lease we should mention.
It does need to be reiterated, I guess, that, like, obviously there are people, a significant amount of people, Whitecaps fans, who this is their club and they just want it resolved, saved, whatever, resolution. And that's
patience in the modern world is not a common thing.
Yeah. And that's totally fair and legitimate, right? But when you're talking about more broad-based public support, I think MLS and their clubs are really hampered by the lack of transparency. And this is, I know there's layers to this, but this was part of the frustration on that one call that was attended by all those media, general media
all the
people.
News media,
all the news media who are not around, who had all kinds of questions and misunderstandings and whatever, right? If MLS clubs, not just the Whitecaps, but if MLS clubs in general were able to be more transparent with their financial model and their earnings and losses and how that works and why it works that way and all that kind of stuff, I think you could help win that sort of not just public opinion, but that overwhelming support in a community like Vancouver to do what it takes to keep a club here. And I'm not just talking about, not solely talking about, municipalities and governments opening the purse strings and saying, we'll give you tens or hundreds of millions of dollars towards your stadium that you'll own and we'll only get taxes off and nothing else, right? I'm not just that, but I just think where things are at right now really limits the general person in Vancouver's appetite for almost anything, even a development at the race course. And I know what I'm talking about might be totally like fairy tale stuff in terms of MLS being like, we'll go public with our model and our numbers, and we'll have the Whitecaps disclose exactly what they've lost every year and how much they made, or the difference between what the football business makes versus what some brings into the owner and whatever. I know that's likely, not going to
happen.
Never going to happen. But I think that really, really, really hinders them. And I think Garber understands that, but I think it's something that they'll never fully address, and it limits their, I guess, leverage, if you will.
It's the story that's going to run all year.
Yeah.
But that's it for our Whitecaps chat. That's pretty much it for the show. It's another long one, another 3-hour show. And we'll finish, as we always do, with this episode's Wavelength. So Wavelength is the section of the show where we play a song all about football or with a background of football. And for the first start of this year, apart from March, which is Football Violence Awareness Month, so we get to kick that off in the next episode of the show. But for the rest of the start of the year, we're playing World Cup themed songs ahead of the showcase of soccer that we're going to have here in North America in June and July. So we've gone back to 1994 for this episode, and it's a song for the German national team as they were getting ready to head to the US for the World Cup. And it's a very unusual collaboration, this one, because it's the German national team players and the Village People of all musicians. Village People were very big over in Germany, so this is their song for the 1994 World Cup, Far Away in America.
Your heart arrives in America, and you know the game is on. That will change your life in America. It's a land so wild and free, calling out for you and me. There's
The German men's national team from 1994 partnered with the Village People. I mean, it's the partnership that makes sense. With their song Far Away in America for the 1994 World Cup. They were all young men. There was no need to feel down.
Oh, my.
It's a song... I was going to say it's a song of the times. It's a song from the 90s that sounds, as most Village People songs do, that it belongs in the 1970s.
Yeah.
Not a classic, but I've had it to play for a while, so I thought, hey, let's go for it for this.
Yeah, the World Cup years is the way when you can get away with that.
Yes. We'll get back to all the Scottish and English World Cup songs for the next few weeks. After, of course, Football Violence Awareness Month that is back next week. So excited. I've got my folder here. So many songs still in that folder. Actually, that's not strictly true. We have gone through a lot in the 6 or 7 years of Football Violence Awareness Month. How many do I currently have in this folder still to use? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14!
Oh, a good
Another
3
years worth.
Oh, my goodness.
But that is it for this show. Before we wrap this one up, any final thoughts from you or any shout-outs you want to give this week?
I just want to say it was really great to cover the game with you in person and to have the access to the away team. It was great to be in Pablo's post-match press conference. And
I think it's going to improve our coverage this year. I've wanted to have more from the away teams as well, so it's awesome that we're getting you to do that.
Yeah.
I've no real final thoughts, but yeah, get out if you can to watch the game at BC Place on Wednesday night. We'll be back with another show soon. Until next time, as always, thanks for listening, take care, and mon the Caps.
When you're listening on some far-flung corner of the globe to the World Service of a Saturday afternoon, crackly reception, interference, cosy, marvellous. Somehow comforting, isn't it? You know, legendary names, fathers and sons on the terraces, cheesy peas at half-time, pint for dad, mums at home making the tea. Everything's all right with the world, isn't it? Saturday afternoon is football.